I need to ask a quick question. Lolia, on uh um on our WhatsApp group, did we, did we put profiles there? 'Cause I want to introduce you guys, and I don't have your profiles.
Right. Okay.
So should I just freestyle it?
Freestyle, please. Please.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching us from today. Welcome to our power-packed mediation training. Can you hear me, everybody? Okay.
Yes.
We have 5 powerful presenters today, and hopefully it's going to be very interactive and informative. My name is Oludari, and I'm part of the Fortiva team. We have a beautiful lineup for us today. The first person that's going to be presenting is Loretta. No, it's Natalia Odidika Ezezobo ESQ. Natalia of Life. So before I hand it over to Natalia to present, I'd like to introduce Natalia. So Natalia is not just a mediator, she's a lawyer. And today, she would be presenting her topic today. Please hold on. I hear myself talk. I'm going to sign out of the sorry, I will sign out of the okay. Please hold on. Natalia will be presenting the topic called toxicity at the workplace, how mediation can help. I do not have my presenter's profile at hand, so I'm just going to let Natalia go ahead and take the floor. Natalia, please, the floor is yours.
Okay, so Larry, you're going to have to pay a fine for murdering my surname. It's Cesabo.
Say that again.
It's Cesabo. Yes. Odidika is Cesabo. So
it's Cesabo.
Thank you. It's Cesabo. Okay, don't bite your tongue. Natalia would do really. Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone, wherever you are. My name is Natalia Odidika Isezabo. I'm an attorney mediator, and I want to keep it strictly as attorney mediator. I don't want to read any profile today. All I do is resolve disputes and ensure that people live amicably. As a matter of fact, I love to train. So on the side, I'm also a facilitator. So that, I think, should be it. You can get to know me later after this. Thank you very much. So I don't know, Darry, should I go ahead to
share your screen?
Okay, yes, please. I'll do that right away. 1 second, please. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
I can't see your screen just yet.
Okay.
No, it's not showing.
Okay. And I'm wondering why. I just clicked on it once. Okay. Can you see my screen now? Okay, hold on. Let me start sharing. Okay. Can you see it now?
Oh, okay, I think it is. Okay, yes, it is there.
Okay, thank you very much. So today I'll be talking about toxicity at the workplace, how mediation can help. And so, as you already know, my name is here on the screen. I'll move to the next one. We're looking at, this is the outline, introduction, the meaning and examples of workplace toxicity, causes and effects, and how mediation can help. So now, the workplace is a very important place. People want to leave their home and go to work, and because the home is where you find happiness, and also is the workplace. You're supposed to mingle with other people and be excited when you get to the office. But see, sometimes because you're human and you're dealing with individuals, there are different personality traits, and that tends to create a problem at the workplace. So an unresolved workplace conflicts can actually lead to a toxic environment. And once a work environment is toxic, it means something has to be done. It doesn't just disappear. Someone has to do something to actually ensure that those disagreements are taken care of. Otherwise, it will create a huge problem. So now I want to talk about workplace. What does toxicity at the workplace means? It means that if you do not, it's an environment that's unhealthy for people, an environment where if one does not, it doesn't allow someone really to flow very well, be themselves at the place of work. So it's an environment that's unhealthy, environment that's toxic, an environment where someone cannot operate at their best. So I'm moving to the next slide. And here, as you can see, I don't know if you can also see my screen, you see where it says a toxic work environment is an unsafe work environment, which is cruel and demolishes a person's sense of security and well-being. So when you get to the workplace, you want to be yourself. You want to believe that you are somewhere where you are free to operate and be yourself. But when that is absent, it means that environment is a toxic environment. Now, also, another definition is that it's an environment that has negative impact on the mental, the emotional, and physical well-being of an employee, and also sometimes extends to the employer, because recently there was a case, an employee who killed the employer and made away with money. I don't know what may have transpired, but it's an environment that has not been, that has been a very toxic environment for that employee to have such a mindset to do that to the point of course. And it's also a toxic workplace environment has an unhealthy impact on employee engagement. So you don't want to get to the workplace and then you are not able to function and give your best. And that quickly, I'm moving to my next slide. And this is talking about examples. Discrimination at the workplace is an example of an environment that is toxic. Harassment, any workplace that is filled with harassment, inappropriate or conventional practices. Such an environment is not healthy for the employee. And with time, it might even metamorphose to the point where the employer is affected as well. And if you're looking at the screen, you see it also includes bullying. Some people, I was telling someone that you find that among adults, there's a lot of bullying, a lot of that is happening really, and people are silent. So when you come to the office and you laugh, you say something, people laugh at you, that's another way of bullying. It's not when somebody begins to shout and harass you here and there. No, it goes beyond that. When you make comments or contribute at some, people laugh at you. They are actually doing that to you, targeting you emotionally, psychologically. And so you begin to feel inferior, begin to doubt your capabilities. Even when you have something to contribute at the workplace, you're not even doing that because you don't know what you're going to say. The next thing, people will laugh at you. And so you begin to withdraw. It becomes, another example is the unhealthy rivalry. You see Mr. A wanting to, impress and prove that he is better than Mr. B. And Mr. B in that process trying to show that, I'm better than you. You can't, tell me, with my qualifications and all that, you can't tell me that you're better than me. So it creates that unhealthy rivalry and causes, constant friction. It's always a problem. People are not talking to themselves. There's a silent treatment. Maybe you have two individuals who are supposed to work together. Let me give an example of, let's say, an association have a treasurer and the financial secretary, and they don't see eye to eye, for instance. What then happens? It means that if this person is supposed to give an information to the other person and refusing to do that, it begins to affect the work. So these examples are just a list of the things that can happen at the workplace. So once you notice any of these examples that are listed here, it simply means that that environment is a toxic environment. And if something is not done to address that, it will create a whole lot of problem and will affect the organization. And so I move to my next slide, causes and effects. What are the causes of, workplace, a toxic work environment? And the next slide talks about it. One, personality clashes. I'm an extrovert. The other person is an introvert. Or there are some things I believe in and the other person does not believe in it. So when we don't see eye to eye on certain things, it begins to create a problem, begins to create a friction, and that makes the environment become very toxic. And poor communication, people don't get to talk. And it could take, different forms. For instance, for an introvert, for some introvert, they don't like to talk. They just want to come to work, do their work. The highest they can give to you is just good morning, and that ends it. You want to strike a conversation with them, they don't want to. Even when it has to do with work, they only give you, and you want more than that. It creates a problem because the other person is saying, what's wrong with this person? Why is this person so proud? Why is this person acting like this? The person just wants to be alone, just wants to be left alone. So what should you do? Let the person be. You can't force communication really, but you can always find a way around it to talk to someone. And if you notice they're not trying to open up, let them be. Just make it strictly work and be friendly. So once there's a poor communication or gap between the people, individuals, that can't help the work environment. And over time, it becomes very toxic. And then favoritism. In fact, this is one of the problems at the workplace. I once worked in a place where my boss favored a particular staff more than every other person. He doesn't see that she does anything wrong, and then he would lash at any of us. It became a problem. People started resigning, people were leaving. But for me, I stayed because I knew what I wanted. And when the time for me to leave came, I left because I had to do my master's then. So, this kind of thing creates a problem and brings hatred amongst the staff if it's not taken care of. So if you're an employer listening to me today, you have to balance it. Even if there's someone you favor, especially someone who performs the work the way you want it, or somebody you feel, this is another me. You don't have to make it so glaring, really. Once in a while, you could praise the person, but make praise other people as well. Commend people when they do something right. Don't just focus on one person. When you do that, you are actually creating an environment to environment. And you see attribution. When something happens, you want to attribute to someone. You don't want to take responsibility. You're always looking for someone to pin the problem rather than looking at the root cause. This also creates a problem, especially if one or two people feel that every time something goes wrong, I'm always to blame. Even when it's other people did it, I'm always the one that takes the fall for it. So that can create a big problem in the workplace. And then lack of motivation. When an employee doesn't feel motivated, it could be as sort of raising the person's pay. It could be incentives. It could be words of encouragement. So when somebody does something right, you don't have to praise them all the time. But when you commend them, they feel motivated to do more. So once that is lacking, it makes the environment toxic. Gradually, people begin to withdraw and all that. So there are so many more examples that can lead to workplace environment being very toxic, but these are just a few, really. And then what are the effects of a toxic workplace? Look at the screen, you see negative feelings can spread among co-workers. I give examples of when, for instance, someone is being favored over the other person, then the likelihood, it creates a bad feeling like, okay, this is the only person, resentment steps in, harassment will come in. When I don't feel right towards you, I'll harass you. And harassment is not only sexual, it goes beyond sex. Because the moment you mention harassment, the first thing that comes to mind is, oh, sexual harassment. No, harassment can be verbal, the way you talk to someone, harassing them with words and saying all sort of things. Recently, there was a judgment that was given. The National Industrial Court, gave a judgment. There's an employee that from an Uber employee, yes, who went to court to say his colleague at work was pronouncing his name in a way that was not proper, and had actually compared him with this Game of Thrones actor, Droga or something, and the court ruled in his favor. So I've been trying to look at this case. Why would the court say, maybe the guy was teasing him? What could have led to that, to the point where this guy had to go to court and then get judgment against the employee and also against Uber? So that may have been going on. There's bullying, like I already mentioned, discrimination. And also where another effect is underperformance. When someone, when the environment is toxic, the person can't give their best, they will withdraw. I worked in a place that the environment was so toxic. Every day I want to go to work, I feel like, what's the point? The MD was always lashing at everybody, and I was the most hit. I worked there for about 3 or 4 years, and at the point I woke up one day and I resigned. I said, I can't take this anymore. I was out of job for 2 years, and it wasn't funny really. But I think my sanity, my mental health was more important to me at that point in time, because I was beginning to lose weight. I wasn't myself. I was a shadow of myself. And I said, my mental health versus what I'm being paid. I think it gets to a point in your life you want to just back off, really. And that was what I did. I just resigned because I was becoming depressed, anxious, and very angry, and even lashing out at other people who are under my supervision at that point in time. And absenteeism, people begin to stay away from work, give reasons why they shouldn't be at work, really, begin to back off slowly. And in extreme cases, you could get lawsuits where, for instance, you don't get to pay the employees their money on time. You delay, you deny them a lot of things. Some employees who are bold can actually go to court and sue your company. And then beyond the lawsuits, your image out there is equally not nice. And then the resignation. I mean, we all know about Japan right now. Everybody's leaving the country, resigning, disappearing. For some people, let me just leave, without even a clear sense of, I don't know what to call it now, without direction, really. They just resign and they leave. They don't even know what's going on. No direction, no focus, nothing. So every day people are resigning. I read an article recently where about UCH Ibadan, this hospital, they said about 600 employees, doctors, actually resigned in 1 year. Do you know what it means? 600. That's a huge one. And there are many factors that could have accounted for that happening. So these are just some of the effects. There are so many of it, but these are just a few for us to have an idea of what a toxic work environment looks like and what the effects can be. I'm moving to my next slide quickly. How can mediation help? Mediation, what is it really? It's a form of dispute resolution as a neutral third party who comes in, who stands in the gap and helps parties to resolve their dispute. And if you look at my screen, you see that this person who's neutral helps the parties to resolve. What does this, who's person? This person is a mediator, standing in the gap between the two people to facilitate a healthy communication. That's what mediation does. It helps. How can it help? It's helping by creating an benevolent environment for the parties to have a discussion, to say, come, let's hear you. Let them come. Maybe they're not even able to talk to themselves. Maybe they're looking for an opportunity to express themselves and say, let's discuss this. One person might just even be interested in talking about it, and the other person is not ready. But when a mediator comes in and say, let's hear you, this is what happens. A healthy environment is created. People are able to communicate. And then the mediator sets the ground rules, because emotions will always run wide when there's a conflict. Somebody will say, I'm right, you are right, you are wrong, I'm right, vice versa. And so for that to happen, the mediator will have to set ground rules. The essence of this ground rules is to create civility, where one person does not interfere or interrupt rather when the other person is speaking. Just like one of the speakers now, as I'm presenting, said, jump in. That's actually going to create a problem, really. So what the mediator does is to create that balance. I said, take turns to speak, and then parties are able to converse. And then conversation here, is both verbal and physical, because I could be talking and then my body language is giving out another thing entirely. So what mediation does is to make sure that all this are taken care of. And that's why the ground is held. And then there's active listening. That's how mediation can help, really. Active listening, because you have been told to allow the other person speak. So you pay attention as they are talking. You are beginning to also see things. And active, listening means that you are also putting yourself, as you're listening, you're trying to imagine yourself being the other person. It gives you a better understanding of what your dispute is all about. Maybe you have actually judged the person wrongly. Maybe you have assumed. An assumption is actually very dangerous. You assume without even asking. Rather than assume, why don't you approach the person and ask? So what mediation does is to help you do that. You active listening, you're listening to the body language, listen to the person talking, and then putting yourself in that person's situation. And that
Is it just me, but I can't hear that say again? Natalia?
I think she's off.
No, the network. Back.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my other network just messed up, but let's continue from here. So that happened. So what mediation does is to help the parties mend their existing relationship, make sure that parties get to speak to each other and have their dispute resolved. And then, we are talking about mediation as the workplace, the future of dispute resolution. So mediation, it's very important. It allows the parties to get to talk to themselves. It's a process that is party driven. It means the party owns the ownership of the outcome of their dispute. Whatever decision they take is they taking it themselves, because the mediator is only there to help them facilitate the process, facilitate the communication between them, help them see realities, really. So what happens is that the parties themselves are the ones who are the decision makers, and it's a very flexible process. Parties get to, resolve the dispute themselves, take ownership of it, and then once they sign the terms of settlement, they can say, I was forced to do it. So mediation is the future of dispute resolution, because if you compare it to that of litigation, the former court system, it is the lawyer that stands in a gap, speaking on behalf of the parties. But in mediation, you have the opportunity to speak and express yourself and tell the mediator how you feel. And not just the mediator, the other person gets to know how you feel. You actually express yourself. And then when you're taking the decision, you're not being forced into it. So if you're looking for a way to resolve dispute, mediation is the future of dispute resolution. Another reason is that mediation is actually very affordable. Mediation is very cheap. It saves time. You go to court to resolve disputes. Before you get a date for hearing alone, for mention, is a problem. It takes months, and then hearing, and then you're calling evidence here and there. It takes a long period of time. You can spend 2, 3 years, 5 years, or even more. And you might end up not even getting anything. And the more the lawyer is going to court, the more you are actually spending money on it. So mediation is flexible, saves time, allows you the opportunity to express yourself, and you are able to resolve your dispute. And this is why I say that mediation is the future of dispute resolution. And if you want peace, you want productivity, you want progress at the workplace, I tell you that mediation is the way forward. Thank you very much. Can you all hear me? I'm trying to log back again with the other system so that allow the other person to. Okay.
We can hear you.
Thank you very much. I'm done actually. Thank you.
Somebody has a question to ask.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, please go ahead with your question. Yeah, please go ahead with your question if you have a question. Abdullah is raising his hand. Hello, if you can hear me, please.
Abdullah, do you have a question? Okay, if Abdullah doesn't have any questions, I would like to introduce the second speaker, if that's fine with everybody. Abdullah, if you can hear me, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question? So, if Abdullah can't hear me, then I'm going to introduce our second speaker. Our second speaker is Lolia.
Sorry, I have my hand up.
Oh, I
Good
can't see your
morning,
hand up.
everyone. I have a
Sorry.
question for the speaker.
Please go ahead.
Okay, so thank you, ma'am, for that wonderful presentation. And
you.
from everything you've said, I understand that mediation principles are very valuable for workplaces, especially to manage toxicity. But how do you think it can be implemented? Is it something that maybe a work policy can do? Or is it something that will require staff to be trained? Or how really can they start to implement these things at the workplace?
Okay, thank you very much, Loretta. Actually, my final slide has that. But unfortunately, since I couldn't, and I was trying to make sure that I don't, go beyond and encroach on other people's time. So one of the ways, like you mentioned, is the policy. The policy is one of it. But when we listen to mediation, beyond having the policy, at the workplace, employees, employers, HR practitioners especially, should be trained. Because it's not just to step into, okay, fine. Most companies, workplace have policies on how this can resolve, but most of them don't really follow these mediation principles. And I think it's a very healthy principle to follow when people are allowed to. Sometimes people don't even get to the opportunity to express themselves, and when they are doing so, they are afraid and all that. But if the HR practitioners, employers, and even employees are trained, then it would help a great deal. They will have a better understanding of what the process of mediation is all about, because a lot of people still don't know about what mediation does and the benefits of mediation. So beyond just training them and beyond just putting the policies there, they need to understand the importance of having mediation process at the workplace. When that happens, it goes a long way to decongest our courtroom, because HR practitioners are already trained to understand how mediation works. So they begin to apply those principles at the workplace. And then the other employees who also undergo the training have a better understanding. So they can actually resolve disputes among themselves using those mediation principles that have been set in place. That way, instead of running to the courts and disturbing the judges and then overloading the judges with work and order. They can resolve this, and then the ones that are extreme and not being able to resolve can be sent to the courts that way. That way, mediation is impacting every area. And that's why I said it's actually interesting that not only lawyers are allowed to be mediators, non-lawyers can be mediators. So it means that every organization has to have a workplace mediation in place. And that can only happen when organizations are trained in that aspect. Thank you very much. I hope that answers your question, really.
Yes, ma. Thank you. It answers the question.
Thank you. Okay, any other question? Oh, okay, Dari, I don't know if anybody's asking another question. Otherwise, at this point, I'll have to stop. So that
Okay.
others
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, I'd like to introduce the second speaker, if that's okay.
Please go ahead from my end,
All right.
at least.
Second speaker is my sister and my partner, Fola's right-hand man. Her name is Lolia Bill. I don't want to make a mess of her name. Oligo. She's an accredited attorney mediator, a seasoned lawyer, a mother, a very beautiful woman. She is a member of the Standing Conference of Mediation Advocates. She's the founder of and principal partner of Letali Legal Practice, a full-scale law firm providing services in corporate law, property law, labor, and employment law. Lolia also has a keen interest in the promotion of online dispute resolution to help businesses and individuals resolve issues without recourse to litigation. Her legal background and common sense approaches give her a holistic approach to the issue. Her background as a lawyer and experience as a mediator over the years give her the exceptional ability to connect with people, understand their issues, and work with them to resolve their disputes. Hence, delivering legendary services on every interaction. Lolia is a legal professional skilled in mediation, negotiation, workplace conflict management, customer conflict resolution, customer service, business strategy, and planning. Aside all this, she also runs her personal business. Lolia, the floor is yours. Please, you can share your screen and take over. Lolia, can you hear me?
Hello, good morning. Sorry, the connection has been dodgy this morning. Good morning.
It's like it's frozen or what? That, I think we lost Lolia. It's not here.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Everybody hear me
Yes.
now?
We
Yes,
lost
can hear you.
we
we
lost
can hear
for a
you.
second, but we can hear you now.
No.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we
Right.
can.
This one now.
Right.
I know. Okay. Okay, all right. So sorry, I've had to switch internet connections because
No.
hello?
Hello, can hear you now.
Oh my word, I'm so sorry. Huge apologies. I don't know what has happened to my internet. It's just been unstable. But without further ado, let me start by sharing my screen. Can everyone see this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right. All right, so good morning, everyone. The topic I'm going to be speaking on this morning is bridging the trust gap, an organizational conflict management tool. So I'll start by introducing myself again. My name is Lolia Adil Oligbo. I'm an accredited attorney mediator, a mediation advocate, and I'm also a facilitator and trainer. I'm present on social media, so you can find me on LinkedIn at Lolia Adil Oligbo, on Instagram at Lolia _the _peacemaker. And we just set up a YouTube channel for my practice, which will be using that to disseminate information about alternative dispute resolution, mediation, and the likes. It's Mitale ADR, MITALE ADR. So before I get into my topic for the day, I like to start with a story, really brief story. A few weeks ago, I was training at a company on workplace conflict management. And during the training, one of the attendees, got up and was talking about her past experience working on the job, how she was very unhappy, she was very frustrated, a lot of negative emotions and energy that she had built up inside of her through the course of working in that company. And on this particular Monday morning, she got up to go to work with the sole intention of getting to the office or getting to the building where her office was located, burning the building down with all her colleagues and managers and bosses in the building, all burning down together. The reason why I'm giving this story or telling you this story is to tie it into my topic for the day. A lot of people have this conception that conflict management basically starts from where physical conflict starts, where people have a disagreement in the workplace or where it becomes verbal and abusive. But yes, true, conflict management does work in those or is responsible or helps in those cases, but it starts from the beginning, the root of the cause, which is the emotional and mental state of the person. A lot of conflict begins with just the personal dilemma most people go through before it starts to manifest in these areas in the workplace. So trust is an essential tool because it does help resolve those issues early on. And this is a lot of what we train when we talk about conflict management in the workplace, learning how to resolve conflict. We want to empower and give people the skills that they need to be able to resolve conflicts from the onstart, not at the later or latter stages. So we'll unpack that now as we delve into the topic for the day. So what is trust really? I mean, we all sort of know what trust is. It's a firm belief in the reliability, trust, or ability of someone or something. So basically, to have trust, you need to be able to say that the person is reliable, the person is honest, and the person has the ability to do what they say they will do. Those three things are very essential in building trust or establishing trust in someone. The trust gap, on the other hand, is what often lies between people that don't know each other. So the distance between their first meeting up until they're able to establish trust in each other is the trust gap. And what we want to establish here is how do we work on building trust in a relationship? So why is trust important in an organization? It's important because it forms better teamwork and collaboration. You have employees willing to work with each other when they work in an environment of trust. They're willing to collaborate with each other. They're willing to do tasks together. And so there's harmony in the workplace. It has a higher morale and less stress. Of course, people come into work more positive, more happier. They come in ready to do the job and have success at the end of the day on whatever task it is they are supposed to achieve for the day. There's increased productivity and performance. People are more efficient, people are more effective, they perform better, even on a higher scale when they work in a culture of trust. And of course, change isn't feared or resisted, meaning that whenever there is a change in routine or there's a change in process or procedure, people don't resist it. They trust the process. They trust that whatever their manager or their supervisor or their boss has instituted the change for, it will definitely work in their favor. It will be a success. Obviously, it lowers levels of conflict. So where you work in an environment of trust, you're able to communicate better, so there's no misunderstanding. I mean, even if there is a conflict, you're able to nip it in the bud before it ensues into something bigger and greater. And it increases employee loyalty and retention. When staff or employees are working in an environment of trust, there is that interest to stick around. They don't want to resign too soon. They want to. There's the sense of being a part of something better and greater because of the environment they're working in. So they're around longer. There's no sick leave, unnecessary sick leave, and avoidance of coming to work. And of course, it improves innovation and creativity, which means that people are more open to speaking about new ideas and creativity. So I just want to know, I want to make this a semi-interactive session. So if you're still following me, if I've got your attention and I'm communicating clearly on your end, please, can you just type a Y for yes in the chat box? Let me just know that there is this correspondence in the conversation. So how do we build trust? Communication is such a key, it plays such a key role in building trust, in building a relationship. If you have open lines of communication within the workplace, there's no misunderstanding, there's no, I didn't get you, I assumed you said something. There's none of that. Communication is not just verbal, it can be written and it can be physical as well. So communication builds and establishes trust in a relationship, especially in the workplace. Another way to build trust in the workplace or in the organization is by establishing purpose. Employees don't want to just come to work to earn a salary, to get a paycheck. They want that sense of belonging to something, to fulfill, they want to feel fulfilled in whatever it is they're doing. They want to be, even if it's a small role they're playing, they want to play that small role in a bigger picture, in a more important picture. And the organization's function in achieving this is by establishing values, having a mission statement, and having a vision that they want the company or the organization to achieve. So having that all tie in together gives the employees a sense of purpose, and likewise builds trust in that relationship. Having an open door policy is also another key. Trust grows when people know that they can approach their manager with any questions or concerns that they may have without feeling judged or embarrassed. You want to know, your staff want to know that they can come up to you if you're a supervisor, a manager, a boss, a CEO, whatever the case may be at the level of management. Your employees want to know that they can walk up to you and ask you questions. They can make their complaints. They can make suggestions, whatever the case may be, and know that they're not going to be embarrassed by you. You're not going to shout them off. You're not going to judge them and say, "What's a stupid question you just asked," or whatever the case may be. Have that approachable demeanor about you as a boss or as a member of the management level, at the management level, so that they can feel open to communicate with you. And in that correspondence, building that sort of relationship, naturally also builds trust. Competence is such an important role, plays such an important role in building trust as well. Imagine you have an employee that says, for example, she has accounting skills, and you put her in an accounting role and she's not able to fulfill the job. I mean, naturally, you're not going to trust that person in actually doing anything regarding numbers. And so, yes, building trust, competence is very necessary in building trust. You need to be able to do what you say you can do, so that the next time the relationship it comes about, it's a matter of, oh, I trust this person to do this job. This person is effective, and I trust that they will be able to see this task through. If you're not, as an employee, if you're not competent enough on the job, then you need to look at the competence meter and ask yourself, where do I stand? Am I at the bottom where I'm a novice or an amateur? And then build yourself by improving your skills to the point where you can call yourself an expert or a master, so that in relationships that you build with regards to your skill sets, you're able to establish trust. Integrity is also an essential skill or character, really, to have in building trust in the relationship. Acting with integrity means you remain consistent with your words and your actions. You don't want to be that person that they say, oh, well, this one will say one thing and do another. You want to be that person that stands with their words, or your actions actually speak even louder than your words. You're that person that sees things through because this is who you are. It's a skill, it's a principle, it's a value that people have in them. And once you're in a relationship, whether it's a personal relationship, a social relationship, or even a business relationship, that automatically helps to establish trust in that relationship. And increases when recognition is given for a job well done. Everyone wants, or everyone enjoys, that recognition in the workplace for even the smallest achievements. And when you are at the level of management, if you're a supervisor, a manager, a boss, or a CEO, and you're able to acknowledge the little milestones that your employees make, it does create a great relationship of trust. It does create a relationship where your employee knows, my boss is watching. I'm motivated to do more. I'm motivated to achieve more. I'm interested in pushing this relationship further. And so that's another great avenue of establishing trust in a relationship. So looking at trust, we just looked at trust. How do we tie that into conflict management? Trust has been identified as a key element of a successful conflict resolution. Where there is trust, there is enhanced cooperation. People come into a dispute resolution situation, people who come into a dispute resolution situation rather, and have a relationship that has been built on trust, come in willing to resolve their disputes. They come in with the attitude that I'm going to resolve this problem with this person I have a relationship with. They're not resistant to the process. They're willing to accept the process, and they're willing to give of themselves to make that dispute quickly resolved. Also, where there is trust, there is information sharing. People come in open to speak about their problems, to share information if they have any that will progress the success of that resolution. They come in willing, like I said before, and they come in with information and open to resolve that problem. They also come in problem solving. You know, they come in with solutions. They want to resolve the issue successfully. So they come in with solutions, suggestions. Can we do it like this? How about I suggest this? You know, they come in with those solutions ready at hand. They also come in and they're actively listening. You know, it's not a, when there's a relationship that has trust, that's built on trust as well, you come in respectful of your, you know, the other party. You come in, okay, the other party's speaking, you're actively listening on your end. You're not interrupting, you're not interjecting, you're not causing confusion in the conversation. You come in actively listening, and of course, listening without judgment. And of course, one of the bigger and more beneficial advantages of dispute resolution is continued partnership and relationship. It has the benefit of maintaining whatever relationship, the status quo of what your relationship was prior to the conflict. And so you're able to continue your relationship. If it was a business relationship where there's a conflict between employees, or there's a conflict between employees and manager, whatever your relationship was with your manager prior to that issue will still continue, will still remain harmonious. It will not cause any sort of disruption to that relationship or partnership. So is everyone still with me? Please, I need to just,
Yes.
So if I'm communicating well, if you understand what I'm speaking about, if it resonates with you, please just type Y for yes in the chat box so that I know that we're on the same page together. So tying all I've spoken about now into dispute resolution, specifically mediation. Trust, building trust in the workplace is a future forward element and a strategic approach to resolving disputes or managing conflict in mediation, which has collective benefits for everyone. Like my previous colleague spoke about mediation, it's basically, simple terms, two parties, disputing parties, coming in to resolve their disputes with the aid of a mediator who is a neutral third and impartial third party. When you come in, you know, most disputes arise from a relationship that's gone wrong. Somewhere along the line, there was some sort of miscommunication or misunderstanding. And most of these relationships were built on trust, right? So if, as a mediator in mediation, you use trust as an element to help resolve the disputes, it will have a more successful outcome. In fact, that's what most mediators do. They capitalize on the trust that the relationship was built on and use that as a tool to help resolve those disputes. And of course, at the end of the day, everyone is better for it. Everyone collectively benefits from that. So that is why I put in there in the picture, welcome to the future, because mediation is literally the future of dispute resolution. So yeah, as I round up, I like to end on this quote by R. Williams. He says, trust is always earned, never given. And I'm sure we all understand what that means. It means that trust, you know, to gain trust in a relationship or with someone, you do have to work on it. It's not something that you pick up tomorrow and say, oh, well, this is where trust lies and achieved it. No, you do have to work on it to be able to establish trust in any relationship, whether it's a personal relationship, a social relationship, political or business relationship. I hope I've been able to clearly explain the tool of trust, using trust as a tool. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll take questions now. Thank you. Dari, are you still there? Hello, Dari. Well, okay, if you have any questions, please raise your virtual hands and I'll unmute you to ask the question. Thank you. Or comments, if you have a comment. Okay, Loretta, you can unmute yourself, I think. Okay, I'm not able to unmute you. Dari, I'm not able to unmute Loretta. Can someone who is a co-host assist with unmuting Loretta so she can ask her question, please?
I'm not a co-host, but I'm able to unmute myself.
Is that Loretta Ikiagba or Loretta Fotefa?
Loretta Ikiaba.
No. Okay.
You had
that
your
was
hand
an
up.
error. Sorry. Oh no, I was
Oh.
trying to clap. Sorry, that was an error.
Oh, right. Okay. So if you have any, comments, I'll look in the chat box and see if there's any comments. But yes, if you have any comments, please go ahead and raise your virtual hand. I'll unmute you so you can speak, or you have any questions as well.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay, Loretta.
Okay. Yes, so some of these will I say principles now that you shared on building trust. I hope this is not going out of your topic, but can we also use it to repair trust? Because I think that there are usually some times where the trust has been broken in the workplace, in different kinds of relationships. How can we repair broken trust and also help resolve, whatever conflict is on ground?
Okay, all right. Thanks for that question, Loretta. So without speaking about other, what do I call them? Tips on how to, I'm going to use what I've spoken about here so that I don't go outside the scope of what I've talked about and talk about other things. But yes, with a lot of what I've discussed here today, it's the same principles in also repairing trust. Communication is really essential. It's key to any sort of, if trust has been broken, if the relationship has been torn apart, communication is essential. It does bring the parties back together. It gives you, when the lines of communication are open, it gives you a perspective of how the other person views things, so that whatever issues, cause the trust to break down or cause the relationship to break down can be repaired again. So yes, a lot of what I've spoken about with communication, with integrity and the likes can be used as well to repair relationships, as well as building trust in those relationships again. There are other elements as well, but without having to speak about other things that I've not talked about here, I just want to focus on what I spoke here. Yes, it can be used to repair trust as well.
Okay, thank you.
I hope that answers. Okay.
Yes, it does.
Okay. If there are any other questions, you can raise your virtual hands. If not, Dari, I'm handing the floor back to you. Thank you. Oh, hold on. I just saw a question pop up in the comment box. Please, can you give? Oh, sorry. I'm just reading from Ade Ronke. Ade Ronke has asked, please, can you give a specific scenario using trust as a tool to resolving disputes? A specific scenario. I mean, it's literally the same scenario where the scenarios differ, but where there's a relationship, that there is conflict or there is a dispute, you can apply, I mean, if, let's say, for example, between because I'm talking about in the workspace, in the organization, between the employee or between employees, we work in the same team, we do the same tasks, and then there's been, obviously over time, we've built a relationship as colleagues, there's trust in our relationship, we discuss everything together, and somewhere along the line, there is a miscommunication that brings about a dispute. Going into dispute resolution to resolve that dispute, you basically pull trust into it by speaking on, if I'm the mediator in that situation, it would be about referencing, past experiences, or, referencing how did you guys, come about this relationship? How did you guys develop this, this relationship, this trust in each other, and just referencing and bringing to recall that relationship to both parties so that they can, it's in their mind and they can dwell on that whilst trying to resolve the disputes.
I'm hosting a Zoom meeting and I'm doing this.
Dari, yeah, so to answer the question, I think I've just been distracted there. So yeah, to resolve the dispute, yes, trust is when you recall on how the relationship was established and you bring that to the forefront in any sort of dispute resolution where there's a relationship between the parties, it does help them sort of remember, the sort of relationship they had and where they were coming from before they had the disputes. So it's a bit of a sentimental reference, but it does bear to mind that, okay, me and this person were very close. We had a good working relationship. Maybe I'm just overreacting and I need to just, look at things from her perspective, and maybe she'll look at things from my perspective. And there's a better understanding between both parties and they're willing to put things to rest, I hope that has answered your question. There's no specific scenario that one can tie down to say this is where trust applies. It's disputes ensues in all sorts of situations, in all sorts of relationships. And it's just about how you use trust as a mediator to, or even as the parties themselves, how they use trust to sort of mend the relationship back together again, if that answers your question. Yeah, Natalia.
Yes, I want to also add that when you want to build trust, it means you're going to be honest with what you say. Because when you come to mediation, like I was trying to explain, when you say something, be honest. Because for instance, the mediator may not even be aware, assuming the mediator is coming from outside and not within the organization, like an external mediator. So both of you having a conflict, know what knew what happened. So you have to be honest, because abuse you're using it as a tool to for resolving disputes. So if you're narrating your story, be honest about it. Don't cook up lies. Don't try to twist the story, because once you're doing that, you're not being honest. And once you're not being honest, it further aggravates the situation and makes something very difficult. How can you have done something and then you are denying what you have done just because you have a third party there? So you have to be honest. You have to be open. And if you're saying yes, let your yes be your yes and your no, your no. So when you are honest enough, it makes the other party calm down in a way. It shows that, okay, this person is being honest about what they have done wrong, taking ownership of what they have done wrong. And in that way, I can actually let go of what has happened. So the trust is built again. And so if you're not being honest with me, I don't think I want to relate with you, even if I'm going to follow the formality and say, okay, maybe they want to resolve the dispute. Resolve it. I'll make up, sign the terms, I'll keep to myself. And that gradually leads to that poor communication. That's what I wanted to add to.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Natalia, for that contribution. Tiniola, you can unmute yourself, I think. Yes, you can unmute yourself and ask your question, please. Okay.
Yes, good afternoon, and
good afternoon.
Let me appreciate the Fotefa team. You are doing a wonderful job, and may God continue to strengthen all of you, especially our mentor, our chief mentor, Mr. Fola Alade. God bless you. Now, I am looking at a scenario, and that was what brought that question to my mind. Is it possible for you to earn a trust in an office where there is a lot of politics in play? I want to create a scenario. Let me say you have observed something in the office, and the person at the end of appeal, you are trying to highlight what we have observed, and she had something else to discuss with you, and she played it down by, no, that was not why I even called you. That was the reason why I called you. In other words, you are not on the same page. Her issue is to achieve why she has called you. But your own issue is to say, okay, if I am not doing this, this is why I'm not doing it. And these are my observations, but it's like, that's not our area of interest. How do you earn trust in such a situation? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Tiniola, for your question. It's not in all relationships that you're going to be able to establish trust. It's not something that happens in all relationships. And if your relationship with the person is not one where you can communicate successfully, then really it's just it's not the sort of relationship that maybe you can establish trust, because communication sounds like, her agenda is different from what you want or what you're looking forward to. So it's not in all relationships. And of course, if you're working in a workplace environment where trust is not a culture that the workplace operates on, then of course your relationships are not going to have trust in them. You're going to be just working in a so-called sort of hostile work environment where it's not conducive for you. You're not able to trust anyone you're working with. So everyone has their own agenda. Everyone has their own what they're looking to achieve there, and working in not in conjunction with anyone. The values of the organization are not really seen through its employees. So it's more or less a workplace that has a hostile sort of setup. And obviously you can't establish trust in those sort of relationships. You're just there to earn a paycheck and leave at the end of the day.
Okay, thank you. And that leads me to the second question.
Okay.
If ODR is progressing or is futuristic, how do you think we can use those mechanisms? Because the picture I created in the first instance is in the workplace. It's an organization. It's not a personal thing. It's not a personal relationship. There must be standard rules. But unfortunately, we have found ourselves where everybody wants to achieve the same. They play it down, do a lot of things, and you want to correct it, they tag you. So what do you think we can do as mediators or as a ODR specialist, as a advocate? What do you think we can do? How do we now start looking at that angle in the workplace and provide solutions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for your second question. Yes, so the way we can help change that attitude and that culture is through training. This is a skill that people don't know how to implement. So if you're if there's trainings available for them, then they start to know better. It's the saying goes, people will know, if they know better, they will do better. So we need to train, we need to disseminate information as a mediator, as an online professional, dispute resolution professional. It's in your cause to push this information out there, to provide trainings. That's why we provide trainings, even at Mittal Legal. It's something that we also provide trainings on. We teach people how to build a conducive workplace culture so that tools like trust can be used effectively in resolving any sorts of dispute that may arise. So I hope that has answered your question. It's training and information dissemination.
Thank
You're
you very
welcome.
much. Lola.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for asking. Oh yeah, someone had asked the question in the chat box. Morenike Ojo, where there is a dispute in the workplace and it's being referred to the HR, how do you handle a case where one of the parties thinks the HR is biased and doesn't trust the HR to be neutral in handling the issue? Well, if you're in a work environment where you have an open door policy with your manager or your boss, I think that is one of the ways that you can address the situation. If you don't trust that HR will resolve that issue mutually without and being neutral as well in the situation, I think that you can refer this to higher level management to express your concerns, especially if you're in a workplace where there's an open door policy, there's easy communication with your boss or your line manager, so that you have that fair hearing, so to speak, in that sort of situation. I hope that has answered your question. I wanted to make it brief because I'm running into someone else's time, into the next speaker's time. So I hope that has answered your question, Morenike. If you can respond back in the chat box so that if not, the next speaker can definitely respond to your chat, or to your question rather. So yes, Dare, I'll hand over to you. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lola, for such a beautiful presentation. Our next speaker would be Eunice or Loretta. I'd like to introduce the next speaker, and the next speaker is Eunice. Eunice Olatunji is the lead counsel at Hepisa LP, a full-service law firm which is situated in Ikoyi. She has over 15 years experience in tactical and strategic handling of litigation, negotiation, mediation for national and multinational companies. Eunice has been proven as an astute resolution expert. Eunice handles matters in all trial and appellate courts, as well as different dispute resolution centers with a wide range of cases spanning companies and commercial law, land law, compensation matters, contract, employment law, and so on. She was the head of dispute management and resolution unit of Animator for several years. Aside from her advocacy practice, Eunice is an expert in commercial property transactions, compliance, and documentation in respect of corporate budgets at the Corporate Affairs Commission. Eunice graduated from the University of Ilorin and Nigerian Law School with a second-class opportunity. Eunice is a notary public. She is a Nigerian board member of the Mediation Clinic, Clyde University, and associate member of the Chartered Institute of Taxation Nigeria. Oh wow! Even me reading this, I'm like, wow. She's also a member of the Restorative Justice Facilitator, the Restorative Justice Chief Educator. She is an accredited mediator and a member panel of the Neutrals of the Lagos Multi-Door Courthouse, where she has successfully mediated several matters. She is also an ODR Europe certified online mediator. Let us welcome Eunice. Eunice, you have the floor, please. You can share your screen as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dari. Thank you, everyone that have joined this session. I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, please, if you can, let me just see in the chat box that you can hear me. I know I may be having some challenges with my internet connection. Please bear with me. But I'll try as much as possible. Well, I'm praying because I don't have control over internet. I just moved an apartment and the internet has not been really good here. I want to start by thanking Fola for this platform. Thank you for everything you're doing, promoting ADR industry, and even raising leaders. Thank you so much. I've seen so many mediators here, senior mediators, colleagues. I can't start to mention by name so that I won't commit anybody. We are all important, and I really appreciate that we can join this session. Thank you so much, everyone. So I will start by sharing my screen. can we see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you, Lolia. Okay, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Dari. And then I'm on social media, YouTube channel. I can be reached on this platform. The people that have spoken earlier, Natalia, Lolia, they've actually covered so much of what I'm supposed to be saying. So I hope that I won't bore you as I start. So I'm starting with this quote from Henry Wadsworth, that if we could read the secret history of our enemies, we would find in each life a sorrow and a suffering enough to disarm all of our hostility. Many times when we see people reacting, there are so many things that are underlining, but what we see is the facts, or even sometimes opinion, the law and the position of individual. And we wonder, why are they like this? Is this person reasonable at all? But we know underneath it, we have perception, we have emotions, interest, concerns, even experiences that actually led into how people behave. So that takes us to empathy. What is empathy? So I listed here that empathy is the ability to identify what someone is thinking or feeling and to respond to their thoughts and feelings with an appropriate emotion. With an appropriate emotion. So sometimes we see people act, okay, maybe as mediator. I know all of us here are not mediators. We have people that are lawyers. We have people that are not lawyers, are mediator, and you're wondering, how does it affect me? So in this presentation, I'm going to talk about it generally, then relating it to mediation being the future of dispute resolution. When things happen, when people behave, there are things that actually causes the way they behave. There are things that motivates people's action, which includes different experiences, maybe growing up, maybe it could even be something that they just encounter at the point of you meeting them. And that's why we say, some people say, oh, first impression. It's just an initial impression. That person may not be what you are actually looking at on the surface. So how do you relate with people's feelings? What is your reaction to people's feelings? And that is where the place of empathy comes in. Feeling people's feeling or understanding people's emotion. And that's what we know as empathy. Even though there has been so many arguments among scholars that you cannot really define what empathy is, but you can describe it that, okay, when you do this, when you do that, it's empathy. Sometimes we even confuse it with sympathy, but they all have their own different level and divisions. I am hearing sound coming in and out. I hope I'm still being heard.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we go on to say that empathy represents a basic need for connection for survival purposes in group living. Everyone wants to be heard. Everyone wants to feel understood. If you see a woman, no matter how old the woman is, and tell them, oh, mommy, you're looking so beautiful, you will see the blush. Even for men, even though there's still the shows of macho, there might be some reason behind it, but everyone loves to be heard, to be understood. And when we are doing this, when we are making it known to people that you are relating with, that, oh, I understand you, oh, I can imagine what you're feeling, they felt love. They felt to belong to that place. And through that, you create trust, which Lolia has talked so much about trust. So the starting point is actually making them to understand that I understand you, I hear you, I hear you. So you treat people the way they want to be treated, not the way you want to be treated. Most times it doesn't work that way because it may be different. So seeing from other people's perspective actually goes a long way. Then we have type of empathy. We have cognitive empathy and emotional empathy. Cognitive empathy indicates that you can reflect, you understand, you can understand what the person is saying, you can understand the emotion being expressed, but you are not feeling that emotion. You don't put yourself inside it, but you understand with the person, and you can actually analytically look at, okay, what is behind this emotion? How do we move past this? Your brain is at the problem solving stage when you are practicing this cognitive emotion. Okay, you are feeling this way. I understand you're sad. I understand you feel displeased with this kind of behavior, or I understand this is this and all of that. You just understand and you are able to process it. You are objective in empathizing with your audience. Then when it comes to emotional empathy, some also call it affective empathy. Some even call it a low level of empathy. Because at that point, you put yourself totally in the position of that person. You are in the same mental position, emotional position with that person. Maybe a client is crying, expressing himself, and you're like, oh, they did this to you. Oh my God, that was bad. I can remember I was in a mediation session as an advocate, and it was a tenancy matter. The tenancy was for a period of 5 years, and at the end of 2 years, but they pay annually. So at the end of the second year, the client, who happens to be my client, wrote to the landlord that we're sorry, we'll not be able to continue with this tenancy because we are not able to pay. We all understand the economic situation in Nigeria, that instead of us holding on to this, we would like to terminate the tenancy. Unfortunately, the tenancy agreement did not state how the tenants can terminate, but it says that the landlord it states how the landlord can terminate, which is by giving 3 months notice before the next year. So these clients gave 3 months notice and said, oh, we're going to pay for that 3 months, then we're going to vacate your place. And the landlord said, no, you will have to continue the tenancy in Ikoyi. We all know how expensive Ikoyi building can be in Lagos, Nigeria. And it became a conflict arose, and the lawyer went to the landlord went for mediation, and we're at mediation, and by the time the landlord started expressing, I asked some other people that wanted to take the place, and these people now said they're going to cut abruptly after 2 years, that they're not going to continue to 5 years. I have expectation, I have plans, and all of that. And the mediator said, oh, without hearing from my client, oh, really? That's very bad. You are the one that caused it. You should have made it in your written agreement. In fact, you will make them to give guarantor, you help them to do this and all of that. And my client and myself were just looking at, are we really in mediation? Because the mediator was carried away with the emotion expressed by the landlord. So emotional empathy is reflection. I mean, it's contagious, it's immediate. You can't even processing or thinking of the other party in the room. However, I'm not here to say that one is more important than the other. As a mediator, we need to be able to incorporate these two type of emotions together. You have to feel, let them know that you feel their pain, but at the same time, balance it, reason it out, so that you don't find yourself being victim of emotional contact, contacting the same emotion and losing focus. When we are at this state of emotional empathy, we may not be able to reason straight. We may not even be able to ask the right question. But when you put yourself in the position of these people, you understand where they're coming from. Then with cognitive empathy, you're able to ask the right question that will bring out the necessary information that may actually move forward the process of mediation. I remember there's a saying that say that, oh, not all what you heard that is a fact. But I would say that most of the facts that we hear, they are opinions. They are the way people process things. Human beings are story maker or storyteller by nature. You hear somebody say, oh, this woman made me mad. How? We don't have control over how people behave, but we have control over how we react to it. And we take information and process it differently. I can say, oh, this lady did not greet me well. Oh, maybe she's thinking that this about me. I have not asked her to know what she was thinking. I was the one interpreting all that is being, what I've seen, what I've heard. So as a mediator, you need to know, okay, this is what you feel. I can see that it appears that you feel this way. It seems to me that this is your feeling. Oh, how about that? How did you arrive at that? Then they can now open up and tell you their past experience. So both emotions are very, very important. But we need, that is where emotional intelligence comes in. I'm not going to dwell on emotional intelligence because Loretta is going to be taking us through all of that. When you are able to feel, the audience knows that you care about them. And with your cognitive, hello? Is someone saying something to me? Okay, I continue. And with your cognitive emotion, you are able to be objective and have the right question that will move the process forward. So empathy in mediation. So I think I've tried kind of explain it in a way when I'm trying to explain the type of emotion we have. But these are the effects that you have. It calms the matter. You were able to get directions as to, okay, when people want to cry, let them cry. People feel better sometimes when they express their emotions. Then regulate people's emotions. Don't let it just scatter everywhere. That kind of, with you sympathize, you empathize with them. At the same time, okay, how can this emotion this person is expressing help? How does it affect the situation we're having right now? Some people, they don't want to even be in that room. Some have never heard of mediation. I'm not going to define mediation because the previous mediators, speakers have defined it, have said so much about it. But many people still do not understand what mediation is all about. What we are used to is the adversarial system, and they get into room, you want to just justify yourself. There is nobody that will talk, that will say, most of the time, that will say, I am wrong. They'll always find someone to blame. They'll always find a way to justify their actions. So different emotions will come in. But as a mediator who is skilled, first by active listening, paying active attention to everything that goes on in that room, and you'll be able to know how you can regulate those emotions. Yeah, let them express it. Let them know you can imagine how they feel. And then how do we proceed further? How do we move from where we are? You create a safe mediating environment for people when they felt that are being hurt. When people feel that this woman is not listening to me, her mind is made up, you are not likely to make any headway. You're not likely to make any progress. Like in the situation I explained earlier, we did not settle the matter at the mediation center. But later, within the parties, we were able to settle because we made each other, okay, look at it from my own part. This is my challenge. If you want me to remain in the property and not be able to pay you. And he was able to see reason and we move forward. But I'm not saying the mediator is bad, but because maybe she just allowed herself to be moved at that point, she lost trust. And once that trust is lost, To now go back again, it's tedious. Earlier somebody was saying, give us a scenario where the trust is lost. How do we go back? Well, you have to go back to that empathy, go back again. Perhaps you may want to break into caucusing. For those people who are not really familiar with mediation, one of the mediation process is that, okay, you have an opening session where the mediator tells you about what mediation is all about, tell you about its role as a neutral, and being a facilitator and trying to help parties move their process forward or resolve the matter. So part of the process is that the mediator can break into private session with parties, and break into private session with lawyer, depending on how it feels or the intuition tells the mediator to go. So it's normal in mediation. It's not like court system that is public, that both parties have to be there. So as a mediator, sometimes you may want to look at, can we break into caucus? So that you don't express yourself in a way that the other party in the room feels so uncomfortable that, no, I think this mediator is being partial. I cannot see you. Why are you following? Oh, this woman is manipulating you and you are falling for it. How am I so sure that I'm going to get anything out of it? You will not even understand me. You have painted me this way. So we should know how to regulate people's emotion and how to go about it as a mediator. And when you are able to do this, you will see that you create a safe environment for the people you are mediating with, and then they will be able to open up to you what the main issue is. Remember, like I mentioned, what you see at the top may not actually be the main driver. When people want something, there is a reason they are asking for it. And you may not be able to get that reason, except you are able to let them understand that, oh, I can see, you understand where they're coming from. When you are able to actually put yourself, imagine, okay, why would this person say this? When you know where they're coming from, then it's easy for you to be able to have the right question and regulate any, even if they're negative emotion, you'll be able to know where to come in. Then another thing that empathy does is that allow party to access problem-solving skill and reach an agreement. I think I've mentioned it already. In fact, as mediators, we're not the persons, that actually resolve it. It's the parties that resolve the matter. But sometimes when we try to force the resolutions or just resolution to them, that's where you see people coming back, defaulting on the terms. But when you allow parties to express themselves, and by themselves, by asking the right questions, to find solution by themselves, they are most likely going to stay with that resolution they achieve. And even with this, the other party may be able to get the other view from the counterparty in a room. Expressing the right emotion, regulating it the right way, will help parties to be able to lead to dialoguing, discussing. Some of the time, what causes the conflict is an assumption. We assume that this person is thinking this way. This person's motive or action is motivated by this. But when people are able to express themselves and dialogue, we see that we move forward. We're able to make so much progress, and then important information are disclosed and parties are able to resolve. Then empathy in courtroom. Are judges empathetic? With the blindfold, do they have, or can they feel any emotions? I think I leave that for many of us to ponder on it. But as lawyers, lawyers are the one that actually elevated to the bench. The training is that you don't allow emotion to flow your thinking. You're not even expected to be emotional. And that is why they advise that when you have a personal case, you allow somebody else to do it so that you can be objective. So expressing emotion as a trained legal practitioner or judge, it's kind of a weakness. So they are not allowed to be empathetic, that, okay, I can see from other perspectives. So what about the other person? How do you balance it? Even though I believe that because we are all human beings, we cannot totally be neutral. But as mediator, it shows pretty quick when you are being partial, when you are perceived not to be neutral. Any room you get into, any mediation, I mean, any dispute resolution forum you are into, emotion is there. And that is why for judges, even though they are blindfolded, when they are writing judgment, you will say that, okay, part of the evidence when witness, they say they look at the demeanor. What's to regulate the demeanor? Is it not emotion? But when they are writing judgment, they will say it. So people, I ask, which way? Would you rather go to where you can express your emotion and you can know where the conversation is leading, or you would rather hand your destiny into the hands of a third party who is not allowed to show emotion or to empathize, just want to hear everybody, and they don't even go down to see why have you behaved this way? What is really happening here? So what is really the question here? What they go about is the facts, is the law, and compare the two together. Even though emotion comes into play sometimes when they write, even though emotions, as in fact, I've been in a courtroom where it was a matrimonial matter, and the wife perhaps wants to erupt emotions and started crying. If we are to be a mediation room, maybe I should ask questions at this point. So when you see a client, I mean a party that is crying in a mediation room, what would you do? Anybody want to? Do I have anyone I want to react to that? That what would be your action when you see someone crying in your presence as a mediator? What would you do? Anyone? Okay, I can see Tinola Kuko, you want to say something? Let me hear you, ma.
Yes. Let me just quickly say that the best thing is to actually disengage. Empathy is such a very fragile aspect of whether you are a judge in the court or you are a mediator. It's a very fragile. Why did I say fragile? It's something you need to handle with a very big caution. Otherwise, you mess the whole thing up. There are situations that it is so emotional that you will break down. I've been in that situation, and one of the questions I want to ask is that how do you know your limits as a mediator or as an advocate, your limit of empathy in any situation? Mine was not in the mediation room. It was in the training. It was on the training ground. I was training for a state, and the governor gave an instruction that everybody must be in that training, and gave me a specific instruction that he wants to see the list of the attendees. Ordinarily, that woman should not have come to that training. You know why? That morning, she lost her first son. So when she got to the training, I just saw her weeping. And the class was paying attention to her because I think they have heard what happened to her. So we had to stop. Unfortunately for me, I descended too much to the arena and the class broke down. Because it's so pathetic. The boy hung himself in the father's house. So now what am I trying to say? These are one of the grounds that we can learn how to know our limits. In the courtroom, once a magistrate descends to the arena of the bar, they will call her to order. But in mediation, we need to call ourselves to order. You must know your limits. Otherwise, this woman, when she told me, in fact, I was thrown off balance. So what we did was to recess for some few minutes. So I pulled out of the class and I said, look, madam, this training, you must attend it. The governor has given an instruction and we must feed him back. Just sit down. When you finish, we'll talk. And I was already weeping. I had to go out of the class to tidy up myself. So what am I trying to say? We are on this ground now. I want to ask from you as an experienced mediator. It's not about age. Are you with me? We can always learn from each other. In that situation, what do you do at the first point? Because ordinarily, if I was not empathic, there will not be problems in that class. But they will look at me as a wicked person. There are two things now that are at stake: empathy and your state of mind. So what do you do in that situation?
Thank you so much.
Are you with me?
Yes, you have put the question back to me. I have the question first, but I understand where you're coming from.
So,
We can't hear you.
you can't hear me? I'm not muted.
Olatoji's voice is down.
It's down. Oh,
Now you're speaking. Yes, good now.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. So in that way, as a mediator, we mentioned, Mrs. Rebecca mentioned here that we break into focus session. But I wouldn't feel from what you said, somebody lost her child and still made a session. Came into mediation room and then it broke down. If you now say, oh, madam, I'm sorry about your loss, but you know, the reason we are here today is to find how we're going to move forward in this matter. How do you think the person will react? So I understand you just, even though you mentioned that you understand, but there is a way we can say it so that the person will know that we do care. We care about them. We understand them. But at the same time, we don't get into that emotional contagious state that we all start crying. No. But we see, so that's how we need to balance it, that we care. At the same time, we are here for something. And even when you show care in this manner, it may erupt the other party to be able to empathize with the party that is actually being very emotional, that, okay, why is the person crying this much? You just see that, oh, madam, please, can you be quiet? Hello? So, you know, so you have to balance it. But as a judge, some lawyers will say, oh, they will even write a petition that the judge or the magistrate is biased. He's going to give judgment because the woman is crying. They are brought in emotions, even though within them they are thinking about it, but they are not allowed to actually express it. So talking now, that addressing it to people that may have conflict, maybe, so where would you rather take your conflict to? To a place where they are not allowed to even see you, to see your emotion, to see what you are going through. Most of the time, and I know that many mediators here will be able to testify, that the claim that people bring into room, sometimes when they have the resolution, they don't even go with any of them because that is not the main issue. But when we allow people to express emotion, when we allow people to express themselves, we'll be able to understand the why behind what they're asking for. In that courtroom that I was talking about, the judge asked the woman, what is wrong with you? And only come and take me. I will charge you for contempt for crying in my courts. And we all started begging the judge not to lock up the woman, you know, so that the other party will not feel that, oh, okay, the judge is biased, but can you really do anything? In mediation as a litigant, when you come in, or as a party, if you feel that, oh, the mediator is not neutral here, you are free to walk away. And even sometimes, but in a courtroom, it's mandatory. You cannot really walk away. There's nothing you can do about it. And you cannot really tell this is the way the mind of the court is working. So would you rather go to where you feel belong? Would you rather go to where every need, every of your baggages can be let out and expressed, and then you move forward, than to go to where it is not allowed? So I hope with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you that mediation is the future of dispute resolution. And as a mediator, we have a very vital role to play. It's part of our key to be empathetic. But while we are doing it, we should endeavor not to allow emotional contact, not to be entangled, and not allow emotion to flood our action, our role in that room, so that you will not be seen to be partial. It's not just about listening. You need to get parties to trust the process, to trust the mediators, and to be able to move the process forward to the point that parties can actually dialogue and find a solution to their conflicts. Thank you, everyone. So at this point, we allow people to ask questions or contributions. Thank you. Am I still in this room? I can't hear or.
Okay, yeah, you're still here. I don't know if Dare is still here.
Okay.
Dare? Yeah, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to raise your virtual hand, and Eunice will take those questions. I'll just take a quick look in the chat. Okay, Loretta, are you able to host?
I'm not sure I can do that right now, but
Okay,
I think you can
see
go
some
ahead,
hands
ma'am.
up. Yeah, I can see Adirunke, I can see Mr. Sonny's hand. So I think
Okay.
Mr. Adirunke's hand came up first.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
but you have the floor.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for that session. Truly enjoyed it. I just want to make a comment. I think we should be careful not. Okay, how shall I put it? We should empathy is required in mediation, and I believe that it's important. It's a tool that helps the parties to know that we hear them. That's one. So it's not deny it. Also, it's a very important process in mediation to build trust. Now, the question is, like a colleague asked, that when do we, where do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line such that we do not find ourselves, crossing that line necessary for us to move the process forward? I think empathizing on one side, we are also asking questions and also empathize. When you're doing that and you're doing it right,
It's breaking. Is it from me only?
No, I think there's a break in the connection.
I think having said that, I think when we went to the level where we are in the arena of the dispute by our empathy, we should be able to call ourselves back quickly. So I don't think it's empathy is not a bad word, but we should watch it that we do not cross that line and be a hindrance. We want to move forward. Thank you. Those are my thoughts.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Empathy is very key, like you mentioned, but knowing where to draw the line. And that is why we have to balance. That's why we have to balance the affective or emotional empathy with the cognitive one. So you don't make it that, oh, you're very sad. It's the person's emotion, but you can show that you care. But don't show that, okay, you have now turned yourself into or the same process you thought you are in that shoe, you will lose the other party in the room. But label it as their emotion and understand with them. And then I think that's where to draw the line so that you don't get into sympathy. Because the emotional empathy, it's some people liken it to actually sympathy, to maybe showing compassion, showing care. You don't want to be seen to do it excessively. And I think I go with what Madam Rebecca said, break into caucus.
Okay.
When you break into caucus, it helps. Mr. Sonny.
Yes, Mr. Sonny, can you take your question, and then we'll take some comments from the chat box as well. Can you unmute yourself, Mr. MMA Sani?
Okay, good morning, everyone. I don't think I'll be asking any question anymore. The last two comments just addressed what I would have asked. I just want to add that, of course, empathy is a very, very tough thing to deal with in mediation. It is very, very tough. I've been in mediation where the expression of a particular sentiment on the other side had, of course, has helped situation. There was a contract that was not performed, and one of the parties, I think the respondent, had lost the wife, but there was no communication between the two of them. And so when the claimant heard of that in open session, that was the end. I mean, it was him now sympathizing. I was, oh, I didn't know that. If I knew that, I probably would know that the wife was close to me. He didn't communicate that. Oh, I'm so sorry. And then the next thing he said is, look, let's forget about this. So, but it's a very tough job for a mediator. And I think that the best thing is what has been said, get into caucus and deal with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we take Mary? Mary, your question, please. Can you make it really nice and brief as we're running into the next speaker's time? Mary, you can unmute yourself.
Okay, yes, I've done that now. Good morning, everybody.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning. So I'm coming from the position of a victim of the judiciary, where I had a long winding divorce issue, and which is now in appeal, by the way. Let me just put something out. Sometimes when we look at a thing, sometimes it helps to ask those who have been in it. The mediator that was called into this 11-year running divorce proceeding became so emotionally drawn in that she spoilt it. How did she do that? She started calling me on the side, advocating for the other side, advising me, telling me the place of a woman in the Igbo culture and all that. So suffice to say, I had to write a formal letter asking for the stress to stop, for someone to call her to order, because I didn't see a balance in her so-called empathy and her good wishes for me. Instead, it practically became an instruction with a deadline, because we had to have a report on the compulsory conferences and all that. So in the end, the judge had to strike out the full compulsory conference and whatever it is that had to do with her. So I just wanted to bring that out, that as much as you may mean well, you should be careful that you do not now get in the way of a balanced and well thought out process for ensuring that both sides, both parties to a case, see you as being fair and as not trying to carry out the objective of one side. I just needed to bring that out. As I said, this is coming from reality. So it may be good to say, yes, we are humans. Yes, we cannot be devoid of emotion, no matter what it is. But I'm telling you that in itself can render the full process void. And even if it has lasted for months, even if it was a single chance meeting, even whatever it is, it will be erased from the full process. Even if so we ended up going to trial. I tell you that the full conference report, everything was struck out. So the records will be there. If it is required, I can call out the names, but I don't want to. I choose not to. So please, I needed to bring it out there. Whatever it is we're trying to do, if it is not going to be towards a good and unbiased ending, please do not even start the empathy, because it is bound to go one side. I just needed to bring that up. Okay. Thank you and happy deliberation.
Thank you so much for that experience being shared. It's unfortunate that happens. And I think that's for all of us mediators. That's like we've been saying, know where to draw the line. Mediators are not counselors. They are not supposed to make decisions. And that is what happens, like I mentioned, when you force it through the people, the whole process won't go anywhere. But it be to empathize, let's ensure that we balance it and get parties to dialogue. Creating trust in the system. From what she had mentioned, she lost trust in the system. Are you hearing me? I think is it better now?
Yes, it's much better.
So we need to know
now
how to balance it so that we don't lose trust. And then we are able to make the balance.
You've gone off. Your volume is gone really low. Yeah, your volume went really low. Okay. Can I just get Joy's question so you can quickly respond to that, and we'll move on to the next speaker. Joy Agugu. You can unmute yourself now, please, and make your question really brief, please.
Okay. Good afternoon or good morning, everyone. Yeah, this is an impressive topic, and I'm glad that it's coming to limelight now, because as Africans, we know that this is the best way, or this is the best way of deliberating things in the African context, if I should use that. Now, a lot of people want to go through mediation, probably because of the relationship they have with others or people whom they are in dispute with. And then at the end of it, in trying to be empathic with whosoever they are in dispute with, they end up losing out, especially when it comes to mediation. Now, I have a very close person who has an issue with someone whom he feels that it won't be good for him to go to a court for a particular issue. And he kept looking for avenues outside the court to be able to resolve this dispute, and the other person is not interested in it. Rather, he's trying to frustrate the whole issue. Now, how can you bring someone into a mediation when the person is not interested in the whole process? So I really need an answer, because the issue is still lingering till now. Like, we don't even know the best option. Should we call it talks? Should we call talks? We don't know. And we want to end this, want to resolve the issue amicably. So please.
So what I will say, maybe let me take it from the last one that you don't know how to go about. There is no, I will never support taking law into your hands. Calling thugs, taking law into your hands.
You are not clear.
We can't hear you.
I don't know why law is now.
Your volume is going up and down.
Ooh.
So
now, is it okay now?
Yes.
Okay. So we don't take law into your hands.
It's okay now.
It's okay now. Okay. So another thing that we should know, that's why I mentioned the place of emotional intelligence, which Loretta is going to talk about. I don't want to dwell much on that. In being empathetic, we need to know it helps you to be able to know how to regulate emotion. There are some times that people come into mediation room and they want to be manipulative. You mentioned something that people end up like not getting anything out of the process.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a mutual beneficial resolution. Your needs is met, the other person needs too is met. When you truly understand where people are coming from and you dialogue, you are able to actually come together. Okay, let us find a common solution. That is an effective resolution. Sometimes we have settlements and there is no resolution because it's like being forcing, and that is why it's difficult to actually enforce it. But where both parties are being truthful, committed, and we are able to get both parties to empathize with the other, both cognitively and affectively, then you are likely to be able to get a mutually beneficial result. At the same time, sometimes, even as a mediator, I know emotional intelligence person will talk more on that. When you see a high conflict individual, they want to be empathized with, they want to be respected. So in that wise, so how do you proceed? Oh, it appears you feel this way. Label it, it's their emotion, not yours. So that the other party will, oh, you have accepted, oh, you are very sad because of this. It appears you are going through this. It appears and it's understandable. So how do we move forward? So focus on problem solving. When you see that it appears this is becoming like a manipulative kind of emotion. So you need to know how to regulate emotion. And that is why emotional intelligence also is very, very key. Also, when you say somebody do not submit to mediation, I think the best thing is to go to court. Go to court, file, and state the processes you have made, the attempt you have made at resolving dispute. I have been a litigator, and I know the dilemma that we fall into sometimes, that people just want to waste your time, that will want to settle. You call for mediation, they will not show up, or they will at last minute they will call, oh, we have this meeting. You know that they are not inclined to mediation, they just want to waste your time. So you may go to court. If court sees that this matter can be resolved, they will refer it to the court. I don't know where you are talking from, but Lagos, that if you intentionally frustrate the process of mediation, there is consequence at the end of the day if you lose out in court. Though that's another argument for some people that why mandating mediation or ADR, which is another topic for the day. But it is not all matter. It is not all matter that can actually be resolved. There are barriers. And that doesn't mean that the mediator is not good or that you are not reasonable. I hope that answers your question in a way.
All right, thank you so much, Eunice, for this very informative session. I'm sure if anyone has any further questions, after all the speakers have had their time to speak, we'll still take any questions that may come up at that point. So I'm going to introduce the next speaker. Her name is Loretta Ikiaba. I hope I haven't murdered that name. Loretta is going to be speaking on emotional intelligence and the workplace and workplace ethics. Introducing Loretta, she is a passionate legal practitioner. She's a mediator, a mediation advocate, and an alternative dispute resolution registrar. She is a member of the Institute of Management Specialists, UK, a member of the Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators, Nigeria, and an associate member Standing Conference of Mediation Advocates, and has served as a mediator in commercial and family conflicts. She is the founder and principal partner at FINA Mediation and Dispute Resolution Services, a full-service law firm in Lagos with a liaison office in Abuja that specializes in commercial and family disputes. She's also a project manager and an emotional intelligence enthusiast and a legal volunteer on dispute resolution for several NGOs. So welcome, Loretta. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Lolia. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning. Our time is fast spent. This afternoon in Nigeria, I don't know if anyone is joining us from where it's still morning. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. I think this should be it. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, all right. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to be talking on emotional intelligence and workplace ethics. What I'm going to do this afternoon is just talk about my personal experience, because I think with emotional intelligence and workplace ethics, you can understand better when experiences are shared. It's not going to be more of a theoretical training. So let's do this. About Loretta, we've just heard Lolia, so I'm not going to go into all of this, and we'll go straight into our introduction. Thank you, Eunice, Natalia, and Lolia. You've made my work very easy. I'm getting feedback.
Hello, good morning. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Oh, sorry.
Was that a mistake?
I think he has
Yes.
muted himself.
Yes, you can go on.
Okay,
Loretta.
okay. Thank you very much. I'm just going to give a summary of what we've done today, because you've covered most of the things I was going to talk about. So I'll just talk about the emotional sides and the things we can take out of this. Thank you. Emotional intelligence is described as a set of social skills and abilities which are different from rational intelligence. And the social skills.
You have to be there at 3:30. There are 3:30. I have engagement, but around that area.
Please, can this person be muted, please?
I've done that.
Thank you. Okay. This skills refers to skills needed to handle and influence other people's emotions effectively. For example, you have one, recognizing if someone is sad and asking if they are okay. If you have social skills, you are able to identify if people are sad or if people are happy, especially in the work. This is really distracting. Please, Comrade Adamu Suraj, did I get that right? Thank you. It helps you know when someone is sad, someone is happy, especially at work, because, you know, we go through very personal stuff every day, and the ability to handle your emotions in a work environment will help make your work effective and also influence your colleagues and teammates. This is just one of it. Then expressing yourself with your friends in a different way than with your parents. Most times you find yourself being free with people you are comfortable with. That's some form of emotions running there. That's because of the social skills you have. You are able to understand your friends, their personalities, and how you can relate with them. They too also understand you in a different way. There are some things you can discuss freely with your parents, and there are some things you cannot discuss freely with them. That's because you understand that. If you understand their emotions so much in a way that if you relate certain things to them, they may not understand where you're coming from. For example, we have so many terminologies changed in our generation now. Breakfast is no longer the breakfast we all know. When you're having a conversation with your friends and you talk about breakfast, the first thing that comes to their mind right now is heartbreak. But your parents are oblivious of things. They just know that, okay, breakfast is food in the morning. So that's just an example. Then understanding your thoughts and feelings and being able to relate to them. When you understand your thoughts and feelings, this self-awareness, I'm going to talk about it soon. When you understand your thoughts and feelings, it helps you know when to be calm, when to react, when to talk, and when to be quiet. And that's why it's very important for you to know yourself. Don't let people tell you who you are. Study yourself and know yourself well. This will help you relate better with people. That's it. So we have four components of emotional intelligence, really, that were developed by Peter and Solove. The 5 components, there were actually 5. I think I removed one because of this. There are 4 here. So I'm just going to correct that. There are 4, sorry. components of emotional intelligence, and Daniel Coleman amplified it and made it popular. We have self-awareness. This is a situation where you are able, that I mentioned before, you are able to understand your emotions and, you know, relate with people better because you know exactly what you are going through, and you can also relate with other people better because you know how to control your emotions. Then being able to manage them, that's self-regulation, you know, and then you use them to achieve your goals. Yeah, that was the third one, self-motivation, and I didn't include here. Then you have once you're able to understand yourself and regulate your emotions, then you start to understand the emotions and feelings of others. That's where you have empathy. And Eunice have spoken extensively on empathy, and I'm not going to go into that. Then you have the social skills that I just mentioned right now. So you know, when you talk about emotional intelligence, and we've heard so much about IQ. IQ here is intelligence and quotient, and then the EQ is emotional quotient. When you talk about the IQ and EQ, the first thing that comes to your mind when someone says, oh, your IQ is high, you just know that this is someone who is highly intelligent, more like the bookwormer, you know. And then when you talk about someone who has the EQ, you know, they are emotionally intelligent. So in the workplace environment now, you find recruiters looking for people to work with, and they say, oh, we are looking for someone with a first class. And you've not really assessed this person to know if they have the emotional, that's the EQ, emotional quotient to work in your organization. But all you know is, oh, they are intelligent and they can, you know, deliver. They can deliver. Please, is there a way you can? Okay, thank you very much. That's really distracting. So for us to differentiate this, you know that you need the intelligence quotient and then your emotional quotient to function effectively in a workplace environment. So from my diagram here, you can see this person in the middle. This person has both the IQ and the EQ, and this is what has made them the personality that they are. And people with this can work better even at work. They can influence people better, and they understand the place of work. We have so many things going on right now in the workplace where you talk about bosses, like you and Eunice and Natalia already discussed earlier. You have bosses who are not kind to their subordinates, and even subordinates bully their bosses most times. So it's not a one-way traffic. This is for both parties involved. But with the help of your IQ and EQ, it's easier for you to, you know, have a healthy work environment where people will be happy to come to work. People will be eager to work in a team with you, you know, and this helps. Even when you see someone going through something, you are able to ask them, is everything okay? That's because you don't have just the IQ, but you have also the EQ. IQ helps you work, that's the expertise, and then the EQ makes you maintain the balance where you are able to work. Coming to work in the morning with, you know, a face that is not so pleasant, your colleagues are wondering, they are afraid of approaching you to ask you even anything concerning work environment or yourself. But when you come to work and you are able to, you know, comport yourself, you know that you cannot wear your emotions. We all have problems every day. You have family problems, you have, you know, so many things around, especially with the current economy now. Nobody is smiling that much, but you know, you cannot carry all your problems to work because that's like a place where you're supposed to work, and not everybody will care. So the ability for you to regulate that will help you identify that. So that's where you have your EQ and the IQ. Then the ethical opinion here. Ethics in the workplace is defined as a moral code that guides the behavior of employees with respect to what is right and wrong in regards to conduct and decision making, really. Emotional intelligence is a skill used in managing these behaviors in a manner that does not reflect negatively on the organization or around the workplace environment. That's what I just explained with the EQ, and IQ. So with the ethics here, you know that you are supposed to comport yourself in a way. Don't come to work. You know, we find people giving excuses at work. You say your boss is very rigid, your boss is not flexible, but yourself, you are not doing the work that is required of you. You are always giving excuses. You don't go to work. You have so many things going on with you, but you expect someone else to do what you are meant to do. You cannot dodge what you're supposed to do and expect the other person to be kind to you. You find people who often not here and there, you hear people say, oh, this person is a very wicked person. But when you approach that person and try to understand them, you understand that they are principled and not necessarily wicked. There are people who go to work every day by 7 a.m. You cannot find them at home by 7 a.m. They are already on their way to work. By 7:38, they are seated at the office. Then someone who works under them strolls into the office around 10 a.m. with the excuse that, oh, I live very far away from here, and that's why I'm getting to work by this time. And they've missed out on the meeting by 9 a.m. They've missed out on the briefing and everything they are supposed to do for that week, but they expect the boss to understand that, okay, because their house is far, that's why they are here by this time. You know your house is far. You know you ought to wake up very early in the morning, prepare yourself, and be on your way to work. You can't do that for a whole month and expect that that should be something that should be overlooked. You know, you should plan ahead, and that will help you be have a good relationship at work as well. So that's that. Moving on. Yeah. My personal experience here, these two pictures here, this was the first time I came in contact with emotional intelligence. This training lasted for 9 hours. It was just on emotional intelligence. And our mentor, Mr. Fola, took us for 9 hours. We were able to understand our personalities, you know, and the things we took for granted, really. So from here, I knew that there were certain things I was also doing at my own place of work that were not really commendable or right at that point in time. So I had to adjust. A lot of people don't know these things, and that's why it's very important for us to, you know, have these trainings, talk to people, let them understand their own contributions to the things they are going through at the workplace environment, especially if they are mediators or mediation advocates, because people just expect a level of perfection. They expect you to behave in a type of way that will not amount to favoritism when you are in a mediation session. So if you have this kind of skill, which is emotional intelligence, it will help you understand certain things. Then mentorship shaped my career trajectory, to be honest, and it exposed me to a lot of opportunities. This is one of them. I was meeting Mr. Fola here for the first time. He has been my mentor for so many months. I think we were in touch for like 8 months before we finally met. Within this period, I was able to, you know, identify the things I was looking out for. I had done mediation training, but there was really no experience, and I was looking for who to give me some directions and everything. And on this day, I went on Instagram, I started scrolling, and then I came across his profile. I sent a message and he replied, and he told me about a mentorship academy that he was putting up. I signed up for it, and that was how I was able to attend some of this training. Through this training, I was able to meet people from the UK, India, and some of the international jobs I had were also from there. So I got that opportunity and those other opportunities because of mentorship. Some of us, we look out for mentors, but you know, our motives are quite different. You have a mentor today, you are telling them your family problems, you are asking them for money. They are not going to be there for you the next day, because once they see your call, they know, oh, this person is calling me to ask me for money, rather than the professional mentorship that you're supposed to be getting. So with the help of emotional intelligence, you are able to identify and differentiate your professional life from your personal life. your personal life is different from your professional life. Once you get to your house, you can remove your professionalism and hang it at the gate, get into the house, and you embrace your personal life. Once you are at the office, you just keep that aside, except in special cases where you are asked. But if you are not asked, you shouldn't try to bring it in, because that can block a lot of chances for you. Then my network also improved, and I became emotionally intelligent. And through network, I've been able to meet everybody on this panel today, from Lolia to Eunice to Natalia to Nanchang and Loretta, Dare, and every other person from the Fortifa team. And this was because I was exposed to this. And then I now relate better with my colleagues because I understand them more. Because I'm self-aware of my emotions, there are certain things I don't say. Before I say something to someone, I'm able to ask myself, if this same thing is said to me, how will I react? Will I be happy? And that has also improved my digital footprint. Digital footprints here, I mean the things you post on social media. We have our Facebook accounts, we have Instagram, Twitter, and everything. And you find people post really vile things there. They call it cruise. If someone should send a message to you and you know that message will not make you smile, don't send it to someone else, because you don't know how emotionally involved or how emotionally intelligent they are. You can hurt their feelings, and that will not go in any way to improve your own feelings as well. So you can just be kind towards other people, and they too can be kind towards you. You notice that the energy you give to others is the energy you are going to receive as well. When you smile at someone, there's a possibility that they are going to smile back at you. And if you frown at them, they don't even know whether to approach you or talk to you. So if you find yourself in an environment that is highly professional, you should be professional about it, but still find a way to be friendly towards other people. Don't come like, oh, I don't need a friend, I'm just supposed to be here to do my work and go home. We are not saying you should be friends with people, but just have acquaintances that, okay, from time to time, you can ask questions about work and then improve yourself as well. In conclusion, all these skills are relevant to alternative dispute resolution practitioners, especially mediators and mediation advocates, like I mentioned before. Then being in touch with your emotions and knowing when to control them will help you become a great mediator and a professional as well. So in everything we've said, I'm just going to stop here. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for that very informative session, Loretta. Really, really good conversation there about emotional intelligence and mediation. So if you have any questions or comments, we're going to keep it brief for the next 5 to 7 minutes, but please raise your virtual hand so that you can have the opportunity to ask or mention whatever comment you have. Yes, so just looking at some of the comments in the chat box until someone raises their hand for a question. Natalia has mentioned here, quite true, Loretta, otherwise you may find yourself in an emotional or verbal tussle with the other party not being emphasized. So she's basically agreeing with you in what you've discussed so far. Loretta, your namesake says here, wow, showing empathy really requires wisdom. Okay, I think that was in regards to Eunice's conversation on empathy in mediation. Yeah, so I'm just waiting to see if anyone has any questions for Loretta in regards to emotional intelligence in mediation. Okay, MMA Sani, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay. Once again, good afternoon, all. Thank you to the last speaker. Very short comments. I was just wishing that the members of ASU and perhaps the federal government's delegation in their interaction would have had this session before they went on with all of that. Some of the comments I hear by the side about the ASU president was somebody who was not in control of his emotions. I mean, with due respect to him, even while talking on television and all of that, the outburst, he was quarreling with everybody. And I think what Loretta had said is about knowing how to enter, personal relationships. Whilst that is about the mediator, I think I was just going to say that it's also be very useful for industrial relations generally, and then disputes around that, even before it escalates. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Sani. Laura, did you have anything you want to say in regards to his comment, really briefly, so we can move on to the next speaker?
Well, really,
Loretta?
yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Like I said, most times we don't really know that emotions. I'm getting the feedback. Is that clear now? Okay, it's okay now. So because we don't know exactly, that's why we talked about self-awareness. Most people don't even know that that's how they are. And we are encouraging most organizations and even some of these organizations now, for example, ASU should have like a dispute resolution department. Let me put it that way. Even if they don't have something like that, they should have people who are able to talk to them or train them on some of these things, because most of the problems we have are really because of the emotions we are not able to control. And because other people have their own ego to protect, you cannot, try to destroy that. So you always have to be emotionally intelligent. And what he said is very true. If they had maybe a training like this, they would have been able to maybe discuss better, because I've seen people who didn't know so much about emotional intelligence, but after the trainings they had, now they are better people. There was a time we had this whole horrible bosses banter on Twitter. I think that was early this year. And so many organizations took it upon themselves to train people on emotional intelligence and the workplace ethics. And I promise you, some of these bosses never knew they were wicked to their employees until these things were mentioned. They were described to them because they grew up knowing these things as a norm. But now, this set of generation, we have said no, we are not going to be traumatized at the place of work, and we have to do better. And because we know all these things now, things are getting a lot better, and we hope that by extension, we can also train our lecturers well enough to understand what it means to be emotionally intelligent, because whatever happens to the students you are teaching, we also help them improve their life, because some of us heard so many things in the university that it took a lot of work to bring those things out of our subconscious. When a lecturer is trying to tell you A is for God, B is for whoever works hard, it's really crazy, but we're trying and we'll get there. We hope things get better. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that session, Loretta. I'm not seeing any more questions, so we'll move on to our next speaker. His name is, hold on, I have to get this right. His name is Nangchang Nangguan, and he's going to be speaking on the topic mediation, a guaranteed path to self-employment and reliable income. I'll introduce him by reading his brief profile. Nangchang is a lawyer and principal partner of the law firm N. Nangchang & Co. He's also the executive director of Settlement House ADR Training Institute. He's a certified dispute resolution specialist, an attorney mediator, mediation advocate, an arbitrator, a certified negotiator, an ADR practitioner and advocate, a restorative justice practitioner, a certified
Okay, did we lose Lolia? You're muted.
Okay, I'm back. I'm so sorry. The internet has started its business again. Okay, I'll just keep it brief. As a dispute resolution specialist, he has handled several disputes which were amicably settled out of court. He is listed as a neutral for the Kaduna multi-door courthouse in Kaduna, Nangchang. Without further ado, please, the floor is yours. And as we know, Nangchang likes to talk. He's very, very eloquent in his speech. Nangchang, we're gonna have to keep it within the time limits, okay? Thank you so much. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning. Oh, this is afternoon. Or good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are connecting from. Thank you very much, Lolia, for that introduction. I am going to just share my screen and go straight ahead. Please just confirm if you can see my screen.
We can see your screen, but it's not showing anything. Okay, now it's showing. Now it's showing. You can continue.
Okay. Yes. I will want to start by appreciating the management of Fotefa Mediation Academy for giving me this wonderful privilege and opportunity to share my thoughts on a topic that is very, very critical for the moment. Briefly, Loretta has explained who I am. I will just add that I am a certified teacher and a father and husband of one wife. Today, we are going to be looking at our theme is mediation, the future of dispute resolution. And particularly the topic for discussion is mediation, a guaranteed path to self-employment and a reliable income. We live in a society that is full of a lot of crises, a lot of issues, a lot of difficulties, especially for people who have graduated from school, people who are within work ages, and they are looking for what to do to earn a living, and then it becomes difficult for them. Now, we are talking about mediation as a way to generate income for yourself, mediation as a guaranteed path for income generation and self-employment. Now, let me start by briefly saying something about mediation. Mediation is actually an alternative dispute resolution mechanism that is used in resolving dispute, especially out of court, through the appointment or the assistance of a third neutral party. Please, can you confirm if you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Great. So, mediation as a feature of dispute resolution, why is that? It is because mediation offers better options, better opportunities in dispute resolution than most of the other ways of resolving dispute that we have. And one of them is that, mediation has to do with an arrangement whereby the parties themselves take over the process. They are in charge of the process. They decide who the mediator is. They are the one who pay the mediator. They decide the venue for their meeting. They discuss their issues, and then they bring up solution, but all under the guise or the facilitation of a mediator. Just as you can see in the picture here, the mediator is in the middle, and then it's helping the parties. And then you can see that in mediation, there are no limits to options. You can come up with a claim for money, and then you end up getting maybe a good or a service for a solution, depending on what the parties agree. And certainly, if this happens, it ends up protecting the relationship between the parties after the conflict. And it may interest you to know that mediation, whatsoever is done during the mediation session until the time of settlement, they are private and confidential, meaning they cannot even be brought to court for maybe evidence or whatsoever. And more importantly, it saves your time, your energy, your resources than battling for like months or 1 year or 2 years in court. Now, there are some skills you are going to learn when you become a mediator, which are very, very valuable. Those skills include communication skills. You are going to learn conflict resolution skills, and you're going to learn empathy. You're going to learn emotional intelligence. You're going to learn questioning techniques. These are some of the things that are well packed in this training, and my colleagues have well explained them. And then you see these qualities or these valuable soft skills are not only relevant for mediation alone. They are relevant in every facet of life. Now, we as I stated earlier, we live in a society, in a country where we have a lot of people who are looking for what to do. Employment. So what is employment, for example? Employment is simply someone who is willing and ready to work, and he has work to do, and he generates income or money from it. Simple. But what about unemployment? Unemployment has to do with someone who is within the age bracket to work, and he is looking for work, but he is unable to find what to do, and so he cannot earn or get some money that will take care of himself. Now, self-employment, on the other hand, has to do with you working for yourself. You are the boss, you are the one who generates the income, you earn the income, and then for me, reliable income simply is when you work for something and you do not steal, you do not manipulate your way to get it, and you do it personally, and you do it honorably, and you're able to get something from it. That is a reliable income. And all I'm trying to say is that mediation is that guaranteed part. Mediation is that way you need to earn and generate income for yourself, and then you will be self-employed. Now, looking at Nigeria, for example, you will see that the National Bureau of Statistics, stated that 33.3% of Nigerians are unemployed as at 2021. And this has been reported in Premium Times Nigeria as at March 16, 2021. Now, if you look at the states, we just have a report as at 2020, and then you look at Lagos has the highest number of unemployed youths, unemployed persons, which is at about 37%, and then followed by Plateau State, and then followed also by Katsina State, and then in that order. So you can see that we are living in a society that is bedeviled by a lot of unemployment. Please, can you confirm if you are with me?
Very much, Nanchang.
Oh,
yes,
great.
Nanchang. You have about 20 more minutes on your time, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, why unemployment? You see, unemployment thrives in our society because a lot of people who graduate or have the qualification or have the experience or technical know-how to work are looking for who to work for. They are not looking at what they can do for themselves. They are looking for banks, they are looking for organizations, oil company to work for, and all of those things. So you want to work for another person, not just for yourself. And then you see a situation where people are looking for jobs that will pay them a lot of money, that they are going to have allowances, they are going to have cars, they are disposal, they are going to have maybe a place to live in, and so they keep moving from one place to another looking for a job. Now, you also see that our society is our educational system is structured in such a way that people are just acquiring just the head knowledge, but without any entrepreneurial ability to put or convert what they have learned into value that they can exchange for money. So you can see the picture there. People are crying out. The youth are crying out. We are suffering. Employ us. We are looking for vacancies here and there. So you see, that is one of the things. These are some of the things that cause unemployment in our society. And then you see the issue of corruption, and then the population of Nigeria, 180, 185 or 200 million, thereabout. Everybody is looking for, is competing for these scarce resources that is available. And one other thing that you look at is retirement policies of both private and governmental establishments. You can just be called upon, oh, you are retired, oh, your services are no longer needed. All of those things are the things, are the whys of unemployment. You see unemployment thriving in our society. Now, where unemployment thrives in the society, you will be sure to know that it has a lot of side effects. One of which is that you see there will be a fall in national output. As you can see, most of the things that we use in Nigeria are imported. People who are equipped, who are trained to be able to do these things, they are not there. So you can see that as an effect of unemployment. And then you look at people who feel that they are not comfortable with the things they are doing or the place they are beginning to look for other places. So you see migration from maybe one village to the other, from one town to the other, from one town to a bigger town, from a town to a city, and then from the city to another city, and then to outside the country. And when all these things begin to happen, you will see that there is wastage of human resources. People who are trained and are empowered to be able to do something very substantial and critical for the development of our country are being, they are just crossing the border. They are just crossing here and there, Look at our doctors and nurses, medical workers, all of them are going. So wasted of human resources. People are no longer being employed to do what they are supposed to be doing. And then you can see the picture there. People are looking for work. Some of them are sleeping, maybe in a queue. They are waiting for them to be interviewed, a lot of things like this. And if these people who have finished schooling and their parents are depending on them to be able to support the family and take care of their younger ones, do not have the ability to do it, you see, they will be depending on their parents. They will be depending on their family or their loved ones. And they themselves, they become a pest. So you see, and when all of these things happen, one thing that you'll be sure or you'll be certain of is the fact that there will be increase in a lot of vices in our society. Talk about kidnapping, talk about armed robbery, talk about prostitution, talk about smoking, drinking. You can see the picture there. When you feel that you have a lot of problems in your head, that you cannot deal with, what do? Oh, let me take a cigar, or let me take a bowl, or let me take all of those kind of things. Let me be high, let me forget about my sorrow. But the unfortunate thing is that once the effect of that thing is no longer there, you come back to square one. You are faced with the reality. These are some of the effects of unemployment in our society. Now, mediation and self-employment. Self-employment simply means, as I said, work for yourself. You are the boss. You generate money by working for yourself. You work and you are the one that earns the money. Now, one other thing we need to also consider is the fact that, like the Holy Bible will say, an idle hands are the devil's workshop, and idle lips are his mouthpiece. Now you see, when somebody is not doing anything, is not working, is vulnerable to a lot of things. Say, oh, come and follow me here. Let's go there. Let's go for party. You'll be going because he has nothing to do. And then you see people talking small talks here and there in groups, because they are doing nothing. So this situation is very, very dangerous for us. Now, I refer to mediation as a double-edged sword. Double-edged sword in the sense that, both sides, you can be doing what you are doing, and you can be doing mediation in addition to whatsoever you are doing. Now,
this has to do with our movement.
Okay. Garrett Brooks will say the greatest conflicts are not between two people, but between one person and himself. Now, the question is, does an individual have conflict with himself? Yes, conflict abound. And if you want to see evidence, of the fact that a person has conflict with himself, you look at situations where we see people hanging themselves, we see people jumping into the lagoon, jumping into the sea. This is actually a conflict or a dispute within oneself that one is not able to resolve and is not able to ask for the services of a mediator, that's a third person, a third neutral person, to assist him by sharing his issues and problems. So you see, most times they give a note. They will state the reason why, the reason for taking their lives. They stated there. That's an evidence of conflict. So if an individual can have conflict with himself, it therefore means that there is every possibility that an individual will have conflict with another person. Now, the truth is that conflict abounds in our society, and these conflicts are not ready to go away anytime soon. Why am I saying this thing? RJ Itindola says that life is simply a long journey of problem solving and conflict resolution. That is his own description of life. And so if you decide to now channel yourself or channel your business in line with this problem solving and conflict resolution in the society, then you will also be sure that your business is not going to go away anytime soon, and your streams of income is going to be increasing and increasing from one level to the other. Now, mediation and income generation. There are different ways you can make money as a mediator. Now, in Nigeria, for example, the minimum wage we have is 30,000 naira. Minimum wage, and most organizations are not able to meet up with this minimum wage. Now, but in mediation, you can be a mediator. That is a source of income for you, and it will generate income for you. You can also be a mediation advocate, present parties. Either if you are a non-lawyer, please can you confirm if you can hear me? Hello?
Yes, we're with you. We're with you. Please, can I just say that, let me just say that, Mr. Benjamin Fatogun, please, your mic keeps going off and interrupting the speaker. Please, can you just pay attention to that? Thank you so much.
Yes, so thank you very much, Lolia. So as I was saying, there are different ways you can generate income. If you have the knowledge and the skills of mediation, you can be a mediator as a third neutral party who help parties resolve and their disputes. You can also represent persons if you are a lawyer as a mediation advocate, or if you are a non-lawyer as a mediation advisor. That is something you can do. Now, a human resource manager, we have them in most organizations or personnel. These people deal with human beings. If you have a mediation skill, you'll be able to, just as we've looked at a workplace conflict, toxicity, and some of those things. If you're a human resource manager and you're a mediator or you have mediation skills, you can function in this capacity. You can be a peace builder. You can also be a conflict manager, or you can go into conflict prevention. And more importantly, you can also go into mediation facilitation or training. These are some of the things that you can do, and it will generate income for you. And you see, most organizations, including banks and corporate organizations, they have the customer service providers. When you are equipped with some of the skills that I mentioned earlier at the inception, you know, and in case of anything, if value to them, not people who are going to chase away their customers. So mediation skills are going to be very, very effective in that regard. Now, what are the opportunities? Are you a businessman? Are you a traditional ruler? Are you a landlord or a tenant? Are you an employee or a student? Anything that you are doing right now, whether you are a student or whether you are a mechanic or you are a pastor or you are an imam, whatsoever you are doing right now, opportunities are bound in that particular thing you're doing to be able to give you a reliable source of income. For example, let's take the architects, the contractors, the surveyors, the engineers, for example. They work in a similar or the same industry. And then you see conflict abounds amongst them. And most times when conflict abounds, what happens? They go looking
Okay, looks like Nanchan's network has fluctuated. Let's see if he will come back in the next few minutes. Yeah, I was writing in the chat box that if you have any questions
for a lawyer, for example, or they go to court field. They have knowledge, mediation skills to it. They become very, very relevant because
oh wow, he's it seems like we lost him on the connection. So if you have any questions, you can always write them in the chat box so that Nangchang can address it. Nangchang, your audio is off. Nangchang, can you unmute yourself? Nangchang, can you hear me now? I can't hear you. Have you unmuted? Oh, looks like we've lost him again. Yeah, so if you have any comments with regards to the session so far, I'll leave questions for when Nangchang gets his connection back and when he's finished his session. But as we're waiting for that to happen, if you have any comments with regards to what we've spoken about so far, then we can have that conversation now. Benjamin Fatogun. Okay, it looks like Nanchang is back. Let's just wait and see. Nanchang. Okay, whilst we're waiting for Nanchang's connection to come back fully, Benjamin Fatogun, you've had your hand up through the session. I don't know if you have a comment or a question. If it's a comment, we'll take it now. You can unmute yourself. Benjamin Fatogun, are you still there? Okay, I'll go on to Andrew Sampson. Andrew Sampson, you also had your virtual hand up whilst the speaker was going on. So if you have a comment that you'd like to ask, add, you can unmute yourself and ask or make your comment. Andrew Sampson, are you still there? Seems like not. Or is he? Nanchang? Nanchang, are you back? Can you unmute yourself, please? Nanchang, can you hear me? Nanchang, we can't hear you. Okay, MMA Sani, if it's a comment that you'd like to just add with regards to what you've heard so far, please go ahead and unmute yourself while Nanchang sorts out his internet.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clear, loud and clear.
Okay, I hope everyone can also hear me. First, I want to thank Nanchang for the delivery. Good job. My comment is about a concern, and it's also an observation that most times when we talk about mediation and what it offers and all of that, it appears that it's more of mediators talking to themselves and energizing themselves. We have not paid enough attention to the users. We've not advertised it enough. So I'm talking directly to Futefa, I spoke on a program Monday last week. And after that, it's about law. And after that, I was outside the studios with the presenters. And I was talking about mediation. And whilst the program I went for lasted just about 15, 20 minutes, they actually held me back for about 3 hours. Everyone was just listening with rapt attention, and they were expressing, such desire. I mean, the fact that this is new, it's novelty and all of that. That also speaks to, in fact, now they have invited that I should come back and talk about it. The world should hear about it. This is wonderful and all that. So the point is, I think that we should also devise means if we want to make it a business, if we want to profit from it, and make this profession worth the while. We should spare time to talk to the masses, the mass of the people who use mediation, and also get their buy-in in this. That's the way, in my view, to sustain this for a long time. Just my comments.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Sani, for that. I totally agree. A lot of people are very new to mediation and truly don't even understand it or even know that it exists. So we do need to work at keeping people informed and highlighting, obviously, the benefits of mediation to the general public and the end user, of course, as well. Nang Chang, are you back?
Yeah, I am in.
Okay. So please go ahead and finish up. I don't know if you can also share your screen to help with your presentation, if your internet or your network will allow.
Recording in progress.
Nachang, okay, are you using your settlement house? Okay, so you're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, great. So
just to round up, because it looked like you were almost you're almost done with your
way of concluding. Yes. I'm can you hear me now?
Yes, it's fine. We can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, great. Now I'm just about to conclude and then say that what is the requirement? A lot of people may be asking questions or mediation, is it for lawyers, is it for non-lawyers? I have established successfully the fact that mediation is for everybody. We have different people, different professions, which I have mentioned earlier. And then maybe you'll be wondering, including students, what do I do? How do I go about it? What is the requirement? Simply, you are already in a particular field or you have an experience in a particular area. You just need to specialize. And you need to look for mentors, for example, mentors that are into areas of mediation that you want to specialize in. If it is family mediation, if it is construction dispute mediation, if it is commercial mediation, just look for mentors who are into these things, and then you go and do what you need to do. And then you need to take relevant courses and training in mediation. For example, at Fotefa Mediation Academy, we teach and preach, we teach people the practice and business of mediation. So if you are a mediator already and you want to see how you can start up a business on how to generate or earn money from the knowledge and skills you have acquired, this is what we do at Fotefa Mediation Academy. In our introduction, I am also the executive director of Settlement House ADR Training Institute. And then what do? We train and we certify in alternative dispute resolution. And then if you want to look for an organization to train with, look for organizations that give you opportunity to practicalize what you are learning. So multi-door courthouse, for example, becomes very relevant. And Settlement House also have an aspect, which is the ADR Center, that deals with a practical aspect of the skills you have acquired during mediation training. So you look out for multi-door courthouse or organizations that will give you that opportunity to learn. Another thing you need to do is you need to join groups and organizations or associations that promote ADR. You know, mastery of the subject matter, mastery of the processes, mastery of the subject matter will give you an edge and place you in a place where people will begin to look out for you. And one very important thing you need to do, you know, if you want to build a career for yourself in mediation, is to volunteer. Volunteer for these organizations that are into what you want to learn or the practice you want to go into. The truth is that many people are not employing staffs anymore. In fact, they are laying off staffs. But when you say you want to volunteer and your services is just on voluntary basis, some will open their doors to you because they know they are not losing anything, especially for the fact that they may not have money at the moment. So you can volunteer for organizations, and then within your families, your friends, you know, begin to advocate for mediation. Begin to tell people that they can actually use mediation as a way of resolving disputes. You know, when they have issues, I know that a lot of persons, you know, they have disputes, they say, this person has money, he has taken us to court, we do not have the money to pursue the case, let's just forget about it. That is what a lot of people are saying. You know, but when they know that they have options, especially options that will give you an opportunity to be involved in the process of resolving your own problems, why won't you take advantage of that? So you can begin to do that by advocating and telling people about mediation. You need to make mediation your food, your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner. Talk about it even when you are asleep. You can dream about it if you so wish, you know, so that this thing will become right from your subconscious and your conscious mind. It will be internalized. And then you talk to people, your friends, when you move around with them, when you find opportunity, share with them ways, and you know, they can resolve their disputes and their conflicts. Now, you can make research, you can write essays, you can write articles in that particular area where you want to. You are studying, you are a medical doctor, for example. Do you know that medical disputes abound? A lot of them. So in addition to being a medical doctor, let people get to know you, or let people get to see your articles, your write-up, or your webinars on areas that they see these kind of things, and then tomorrow they need someone, they will definitely be coming to you. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, you went off for a second there, but we can hear you.
Yes. Oh, that's good. So in conclusion, the fact is that disputes are inevitable in our society. Whether you like it, whether you hate it, whether you agree with it, you disagree with it, whether it is intentional or unintentional, disputes and conflict abound in our society. So if dispute and conflict abounds in our society, if you decide to now carve out a way for people to see that you have solution to their problems, you have solution to their disputes, definitely they are going to look out for you, because people only pay money in exchange for value. So if you become valuable in resolving disputes and conflict through mediation, definitely they are going to look for you. And another thing is that, you know, mediation is actually the future of dispute resolution. Simply, if you look at our justice system, most people go to court in order to have their dispute resolved, but they are not involved in the process. Nobody will seek their opinion. Nobody will ask them question. How do you feel? What do you think is the solution to this problem? How do we go about them? They only see an order of court. This is what the court says. This is the judgment of court. And many people become dissatisfied with it, either on the ground that the other party has visited the judge, he has bribed the judge, or one thing or the other. Oh no, something went wrong somewhere. So they begin to appeal from one court to the other until they get to the Supreme Court. But where people know that by the time they resolve their dispute through the mediation, they will be satisfied with the result, they are going to comply with the result, and then they are happy that they become so important in the resolution of their dispute. Certainly, nobody will tell anybody or will advocate for mediation anymore. Everybody, including clients, they will come to you and say, please, sir, I know you are a lawyer, but I don't want to go to court. Help me resolve these disputes as quick as possible. Now, your profession and your experience is key. You have people who have worked for 30 years, 35 years and retired. They have acquired a lot of skills and knowledge in management, in their field of studies. All this knowledge are the things that is needed, because when you are going to be appointed, people will want to be looking for someone who has knowledge and experience. Please, can you confirm if you are with me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you very much. Now, finally, if you want to build a career in mediation, there are some things that are very, very critical, and I refer to them as qualities. Character. You must be someone that can be attested to that, yes, this one has character. You must have integrity. You must be an honest person. And one of the things we considered was trust, breaching the gap. Lolia has done justice to that. You must be someone that is trustworthy. Very, very important. You must have competence, because people don't want to entrust their disputes for resolution to someone who does not even understand. Imagine you are in a mediation session and then you don't even know the next step to take, and you are trying to find out, what do I do in this circumstance? That's very, very embarrassing. So you must have subject matter expertise. You must also have expertise of the procedure. And when this is done, irrespective of the discipline you belong to, whether you are a lawyer or non-lawyer, whether you are a student, whether you are even a mechanic, you do not have formal education, you become relevant because you can help resolve disputes in that particular place where you belong to. So with this, I want to say finally that, mediation is simply dispute resolution without the necessity of going to the court. And I believe that mediation is the future of dispute resolution, not only in Nigeria, but in the world at large. And I believe also that if you begin to look out for opportunities in that particular thing you are doing at the moment, look out for, you can even browse areas or likely disputes in this field. You will see a lot of them. Specialize in them, develop competence in them, and I assure you, money is going to be rolling. Money will roll into your pocket because people will come to exchange that value you have acquired for money. And your business can never and never run down, because dispute resolution is a way of life. Thank you, and thank you very much for listening.
Okay, thank you so much, Nang Chang. You can close your screen now. We have a couple of hands up, but we have some comments that have come in during the speech, the training that Nang Chang just gave. Yes, I'll just quickly go through them, and then I'll unmute the hands that are up at the moment. Edima Isua says, please also share specific job vacancies in the field of mediation with us here. I think you've already kind of highlighted that, but you can briefly just go back on that, and then I'll take a couple more questions with the virtual hands. Thank you, Nang Chang.
Thank you.
So did you get the question? Okay.
Yes, they are talking about job opportunities. Job opportunities in the mediation. I've mentioned several of them. When you acquire the skill of dispute resolution, mediation particularly, you become relevant. One, you can be an expert in customer service. You can go into conflict prevention and management. You can act as a mediator, a third party who helps parties or facilitate discussion leading to an amicable settlement. You can be a mediation advisor if you are a non-lawyer. You can also be a mediation advocate if you are a lawyer. You represent people in mediation sessions or clients in mediation sessions. For those who want to become lawyers and are not, that will give you a test, because I am a mediation advocate and I represent people. When a client comes to me, instead of going to court, I go to meet the other person on behalf of my client as an expert. And that is a job. And then you can be a facilitator or a trainer. You know, this training we just rendered, you can organize a training like this, you can facilitate trainings like this. All these things are job opportunities. I hope I've highlighted some of the opportunities for you. I hope I've attempted your question.
I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have. So, yeah, well, yes, he says you have. He says thank you for that. So I'll take some of the virtual hands that have been raised here. Saksham, you can unmute yourself, please, and ask your question to Nang Chang.
Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello.
Yes, Saksham, we can hear you.
Please.
First of all, namaste and greetings from India. I'm a law student. I have joined some session earlier than this, and I am a ADR enthusiast. So, by learning and growing with this session, I have changed my mind from the adversarial process to the mediation settings. Like I get the point that peace is the big thing get to be reached, but if we made some efforts, then we can made the world as a peaceful place. So thank you for these wonderful and awesome and intriguing presentations. Thank you, sir, and thank you all the presenters.
Yes, thank you, Saksham. I think this is a comment, not a question, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is my feedback.
Thank you very much for your comment.
Thank you so much, Saksham, and thank you for logging in all the way from India. We really appreciate your time. I have Joy Agugu's hand up. I'll unmute you. Can you unmute yourself, actually? I'm not able to unmute you from here.
Okay. Good afternoon once again.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, Ms. Barrister Nanchan, for that impressive presentation. I am trained in restorative justice. I received training on that, and I've been battling with how to go about having a job or doing something to earn something as a result of the training I got in restorative justice. And this presentation really helped me, or has opened my eyes to some of the opportunities that abound. And I want to plead that if there's a way I can be guide, like mentored to start something from this field. Now, another part of my question I raised earlier is, I don't know if you can still remember what I talked about, the question I asked about mediation, about someone that collected a particular amount of money and is finding it difficult to return it. Now, stay in Makurdi, Benue State, and I'm sure there's no multi-door court where this person can be brought to account or to account for this amount of money. So, and I'm still asking, since I'm in a place where that person will be forced, if I should use that language, to return that amount of money. How do we go about it? Because seriously, I still feel that this is a person that has been called several times and he just wouldn't show up. So how is it possible that during a mediation, this person will be called, will be forced to come to appear because he has been called by a lot of influential people in the community to come and have a deliberation, and it's still not working. So that is what I.
Wow. First of all, thank you, Joy, for this question. I need to correct an impression here. In mediation, we don't compel people to attend at all. And a mediator actually, through his training, he has developed skills to help people resolve their disputes amicably, without compulsion. In fact, he just guides the people to take the decision themselves. They discuss the problem, they see different perspectives of the problem, they're able to understand and see things from the other person's perspective, and eventually they're able to resolve their disputes. Now you see, deep in the hearts of people who have conflict, there is this desire for resolution. They want to resolve it, So, all you need is actually a mentorship you're talking about and proper guidance. People have called him, he didn't respond to it, If you come to me for consultation, for example, as a lawyer, you can take steps. Difficult people, you can decide to institute a matter in court, and then in court, which our rules of court allows you to resolve your matter out of court, the court will have the power to compel that person to come, and when he comes, you can decide to say, okay, the court can give you permission or give you time to resolve the matter out of court and report it back to the court. So all this thing has to do with strategy, with consultation, and then once that is done, that problem will be resolved. But since you do not have the expertise or the knowledge, for now, you may need to consult with someone who is actually in the field and possibly a lawyer and a mediator. Who will give you a proper perspective to that. I don't know if I have attempted your question, please.
Joy, has your question been answered? Okay, so we'll move on to Eunice. Eunice, you have a question or a comment to add?
No, I wanted to add a comment to what Nachanda said about Joy Agugu's question. If I hear you well, Joy, you're saying that you're not in Lagos, because I think you had the same question during can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I think you had the same question when I was presenting.
Yes.
And like Nachat said, that mediation is a voluntary process. So party has to actually volunteer to be there. And even if it's court-referred mediation, you still have to volunteer to participate in the process. But from what you're saying, he's not willing to pay. So even if you manage to get him there, that you don't see him cooperating. More so, you're not in Lagos, and there is you don't have access to multi-door courthouse. From what you have narrated, it may appear if someone borrows money and refuse to pay back and have no intention of paying back, so you may want to question the intention from the onset. So in that case, mediation may not be the appropriate channel for you. Maybe we're just giving you this free advice, free consultation, because so you may want to actually explore reporting to the law enforcement agent, maybe the police. It may be obtained by false pretense, because if you borrow money by false pretense that you will pay back and you do not have intention to pay, it may actually be criminal. But you have to weigh your option. How much is the money owed? What will it cost you to enforce it? Those are the things that will guide your decision. I hope that answers your question a bit.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eunice, for this addition. That's wonderful. Yeah.
Okay. Tinyola, you have a question or a comment? You can unmute yourself, please. Hello, Tiniola, are you able to unmute? Okay. We can't hear you. Are you able to unmute yourself? Okay.
Yeah.
I am not. If you can do it from the other end.
Yeah,
Go
we can
ahead,
hear
we can
you
hear
now.
you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Let me say Mr. this time around. I think it should be appropriate than something when you were talking. You said you go to maybe to see if you can get vision. The way I look at actions at times. So if you go and consult the other party, won't your client look at it as a double dealing? Are you there?
If I get your question, if I get your question correctly, you're asking if I have been consulted and then I went to meet the other party. Is that correct?
Hello, Tiniola. Are you still there? Are you able to unmute yourself? I've sent you a request to unmute yourself, so.
I've done that.
Yes.
Yes, please. The line was breaking. Can you clarify the question?
Let me summarize the question.
Yes.
Even in the court process, there's a reconciliation form you have to fill before you
Hello, Tiniola. Hello. Hello.
Maybe you can drop the question on the chat box.
Yes, your
so
network
that it can be attended to, please.
Yeah, your network is not.
Dispute resolution outside the family. You're always. What I'm trying to say is that. Okay. Then the second one, the second thing I want to tell you now that.
If you can put your question in the chat box, then Nangchan can respond from there. Because as it is now, we're not really getting the full question. The network is fluctuating, so your question isn't coming through for us to understand what you're asking. I'll go to Benjamin Fatogun. Do you still have a question to ask? Your hand has been up. Your virtual hand has been up through this session. If you want to unmute and ask your question or make a comment. Benjamin Fatogun, are you still there? Okay, it seems like he really doesn't have much of a question. So I believe that would be, I'm not seeing any questions in the chat box at the moment. Yeah, so, I mean, we've come to the end of our session, really. I mean, everyone, sorry, someone has just put a message in the chat box. Let me see. Okay, I think she's responding to the question that Joy had asked. Yvonne has added in the chat box here that she just wanted to add that small claims with reference to someone that owes money is also an option, provided it's with the ceiling. I don't know if that makes sense. So yeah, we've come to the end of our webinar today. Thank you to all the speakers. We want to also thank everyone that's taken the time today to log in from wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for your precious time. We don't take it for granted. We hope that it has been a very informative and thought-provoking session. Of course, if you have any other comments or questions, or you want to get in touch with any of the speakers here today, all those details will be on the Fotefa Academy social media handles. So they're present on LinkedIn. They also have a presence on Instagram, and they've got a YouTube channel. So please reach out. If you want to get in touch with any of the speakers, please reach out and get in touch with Fotefa. Of course, get in touch with the speakers as well with regards to your comments and questions. And thank you so much. We want to also thank Fotefa Academy, of course, for putting this together, for giving us this platform to inform everyone about mediation, dispute resolution, to be able to disseminate this information clearly. And of course, look forward to more sessions like this. We're going to be coming in with new concepts each time, just to keep this discussion going. So yes, I want to say thank you to everyone. It has been very enlightening. I've learned a lot from other speakers as well. Yes, so thank you so much for this. And we will say our goodbyes here. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. It was nice seeing you all, especially my speakers too, my co-speakers. Thank you. Nanchan.
Yeah, Natalia. How are you?
I'm fine. Wallahi, ina jin daji.
This one is as if you are going to come to Kaduna. Hey, yeah.
Zan tafi.
Yeah. Well done. Thank you for joining in.
Thank you.
Oh, that's good.
Barrister, Yade.
Lafia, thank you for joining in.
Thank you, Barrister.
Yeah, thank you very much. You are muted, Hajia. Yeah. So Natalia can speak Hausa.
I'm a learner. I'm just trying to tell you to teach me.
Okay. Yana da kyau ai muna jiran ki.
I know a little Hausa myself. Yeah, Aiki.
Okay, is he Yaya Aiki or Kaya Aiki?
It's not Yaya Aiki.
Yes, it's Yaya Aiki. Okay, that's good. Where did you get that?
I have my tricks and, I know little bits and pieces here and there.
Hello, Aison.
Yeah, kake.
Lafiya, sir.
Sannu. Abdul, Hajiya Hawa, Garkuwa.
Yes. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, thank you.
All the best.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so Lolia, you have your tricks.
Yes, I have a little experience with Hausa. So I picked up one or two things. Yes, I picked up one or two things. So not like I can get around. Not like I can get around with it, but
okay. That's a good one.
All right,
yeah.
I'm going to end the meeting now. How do I do that? Loretta.
I actually don't know how, but I think you can just check from your end. Since you're a co-host, you should be able to.
If you
co-host
and where? Okay, where would I be able to see that? I have no, because what I'm seeing down here doesn't say anything about ending the meeting.
Okay, if Mr. Derry is still on, please, sir, can you do that from your end? I wonder if Mr. Derry is still here.
I am here. What do you want me to do?
Okay, to end the meeting, sir.
I like to give a vote of thanks. I want.
Like to cut it off, like to stop it.
You want me to end it?
It's going to give. You said he wants to give a vote of thanks.
You want to give a vote of thanks? I mean, you can go ahead.
No, I wanted someone to give a vote of thanks.
Oh, well, I think I kind of just briefly did that.
Okay, so all right, then this is me ending the meeting. I'm sorry, guys. I'm in between different things at the same time. I'm also moving with my friends. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to end the meeting just now. Bye.
All right. Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
He ended or he just left. He didn't end it, he just left.
Bye.